Good afternoon, everyone. This is Chair Gwendolyn Hatton Butler. We are waiting for we need two more commissioners to join this meeting so that we have a quorum. Tim Jeffries is reaching out to make sure that we get a quorum. I will not start this meeting until we have a quorum. There are a number of items we need to vote on, and we'll just wait until we actually are expecting a quorum. Grace Chan McKibben has just raised her hand. I see she's now been promoted as a panelist. Okay, great, thanks. And so at this point, if Yvette Trevino's on, if she could turn on her camera to confirm that she is present in the meeting.
Yep, here I am.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And I will check the waiting room and see if there are any additional commissioners that have not yet been promoted as panelists.
Not seeing any.
We were definitely expecting a quorum for this meeting.
You can swear me in.
Public rules do not allow ad hoc swearing in of commissioners. There is a process that we must follow, and certainly the aldermen and alderwomen who are on recognize that process. So we will continue to wait for one more commissioner to join us. I know that Commissioner Gomez let us know this morning that she was unable to attend due to a business conflict that arose this morning. We are definitely expecting Commissioner Cox. Commissioner Cox has just been promoted to a panelist, and so just as soon as I confirm that he's on the camera. Good afternoon, Commissioner Cox. Commissioner Cox, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can see and hear you. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So we have a quorum, and we will begin the meeting officially. It is 1:03 p.m. on Tuesday, February 24th, 2023. Good afternoon, and welcome to the February 14th, 2023 regular meeting of the Community Development Commission of Chicago. I am Gwendolyn Hatton Butler, Chairwoman of the CDC and host of today's virtual meeting. On February 3rd, Governor Pritzker renewed his executive order proclaiming that all counties in the state of Illinois as a disaster area. Section 7 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act allows the CDC, along with other city boards and commissions, to host virtual meetings during this COVID-19 public health emergency, provided that certain conditions are met. One condition allows the chair of this commission to determine if an in-person meeting on the scheduled meeting date would not be practical or prudent. To ensure that today's virtual meeting meets all conditions of the Open Meetings Act, I am hereby making the determination pursuant to Section 7E2 of the Act that due to the COVID-19 public health emergency, an in-person meeting would not have been practical or prudent today. Therefore, in accordance with the Commission's emergency rules, this meeting is being held virtually on Zoom and can be viewed live via the Commission's website. A court reporter is present today to record the proceedings. Commissioners, you have all been designated as panelists, which allows you to control your microphone. Please remember to place your microphone on mute unless you wish to speak. If you would like to be recognized by the chair, please activate the raise your hand feature and you will be called in order. The agenda for today's meeting was posted on February 9th, 2023 on the CDC's website and physically in City Hall. I will now call to order the February 14th meeting of the Community Development Commission with a call of the roll. Commissioners, when your name is called, please turn your microphone on and respond by saying present. Please also indicate if you can hear me. Secretary Wheat,
Here, and I can hear you.
Commissioner Buford, Commissioner Chan McKibben,
Here and I can hear you.
Commissioner Cox.
Here, and I can see you and hear you.
Thank you. Commissioner Curtis, Commissioner Davis, Commissioner Gomez is absent, Commissioner Griggs, Commissioner Thomas, Commissioner Trevino,
Present, and I can hear you.
and Chair Butler is present. We have a quorum. The first item on our agenda requests approval of the minutes from our previous meeting held on January 10th. The commissioners have had an opportunity to review the minutes, and if there are no corrections, I am looking for a motion to approve. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'm sorry, who moved that?
Grace Chan McKibben.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you. So moved by Commissioner Grace Chan McKinnon. Do I have a second?
Second by Trevino.
Thank you. Seconded by Commissioner Trevino. In accordance with the Open Meetings Act, all votes are to be conducted by roll call so that each member's vote on each issue can be identified and recorded. Commissioners, please signify your vote on approval of the motion by saying yes, no, or abstain. If you were not in attendance during the February 10th, 2023 meeting, please abstain from this vote. Secretary Wheat,
Yes.
Commissioner Buford, Commissioner Chan McKibben,
Yes.
Commissioner Cox,
Yes.
Commissioner Curtis, Commissioner Davis, Commissioner Gomez is absent, Commissioner Griggs, Commissioner Thomas, Commissioner Trevino,
Yes.
and Chair Butler votes yes. The motion passes. For our next item of business, we must, unfortunately, identify a replacement to fill the role of vice chairman that was most recently held by Commissioner Shirley Newsom. The vice chairman's duties primarily requiring fulfilling the role of chair should I recuse myself from an item or am absent from a meeting. Pursuant to CDC bylaws, while the mayor appoints the CDC chairman or chairwoman, the commissioners elects the next chairman and secretary from amongst their members. Commissioner Cox nominates Secretary Wheat for the role of vice chairman. Is that correct, Commissioner Cox?
Yes, it is. Please accept the motion to appoint Commissioner Chris Wheat as Vice Chair of the Commission.
Thank you, Commissioner Cox. Do I have a second?
Second by Trevino.
Thank you, Commissioner Trevino. Are there any other nominations? Given that there are no other nominations, I will now call the motion to name Chris Wheat the Vice Chairman of the CDC for a vote. Secretary Wheat,
Abstain.
Commissioner Buford, Commissioner Chan McKibben,
Yes.
Commissioner Cox,
Yes.
Commissioner Curtis, Commissioner Davis, Commissioner Gomez is absent, Commissioner Griggs, Commissioner Thomas, Commissioner Trevino,
Yes.
and Chair Butler votes yes. The motion passes. Congratulations, Vice Chair Wheat.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Given the last vote we just took, this of course means we now have a vacancy for the role of CDC Secretary, who is responsible for coordinating with DPD in order to maintain CDC records. Again, this position is selected by the commission from amongst its members. I will entertain a motion to nominate a commissioner for the position as CDC Secretary. Commissioner Cox, I understand that you're nominating Commissioner Chan McKibben for the role of Secretary. Is that correct?
Yes, Madam Chair, please enter the motion of Commissioner Grace Chan McKibben as Secretary for the Commission.
Do I have a second?
I will second that as well,
Second.
Trevino.
Thank you, Commissioner Trevino. I will now call the vote for the election of Secretary of the CDC. Vice Chair Wheat,
Yes.
Commissioner Buford, Commissioner Chan McKibben,
Abstain.
Commissioner Cox,
Yes.
Commissioner Curtis, Commissioner Davis, Commissioner Gomez is absent, Commissioner Griggs, Commissioner Thomas, Commissioner Trevino,
Yes.
and Chair Butler votes yes. The motion passes. Congratulations, Secretary Chan McKibben.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service. Commissioners, for our first item of new business, BPD is seeking to approve an amendment to Article 2, Section 2 of the CDC bylaws, allowing the chair to appoint another member of the commission to temporarily serve as chair in the absence or recusal by both the chairman and the vice chairman. Tim Jeffries will provide a brief description of this change on behalf of the Department of Planning and Development.
Thank you, Chairman Butler. For the record, my name is Tim Jeffries, Acting Managing Deputy Commissioner in the Department of Planning. As is mentioned, this is a fairly straightforward bylaw change that is intended to address an issue that we identified while this vice chair in position was most recently vacant. Specifically, the CDC bylaws prohibit anyone except for either the chairwoman or the vice chair from presiding over a meeting. This limits the overall flexibility of CDC to conduct its regular business operations, but it also is inconsistent with the way that all of the other city commissions have set up their bylaws. Both the Chicago Landmarks Commission and the Chicago Plan Commission have language in place in their bylaws that contemplates this scenario. And so in order to address it, DPD is simply proposing to insert the exact same language that is used in the Chicago Landmarks Commission bylaws into these CDC bylaws. It would simply allow the chairwoman to name another commissioner to temporarily preside over CDC in the event of both the absence and recusal of both the chairwoman or the vice chair.
Thank you, Tim. Are there any questions for DPD on this matter from the commissioners? There were no written statements from the public on this agenda item. I do see we have aldermen on the with us today, and I'd like to give them the opportunity to make comments or ask questions since they were gracious enough to join us. And I'd also like to acknowledge that Commissioner Thomas has joined the meeting. Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Given that I don't see any questions on this matter, I would now like to ask members of the public if they have questions on this agenda item. If you do have questions, please use the raise your hand feature to be recognized. Each person I call upon to speak will be limited to 3 minutes per agenda item. Kamal, I don't see any hands raised. Can you confirm?
No hands raised, Chairwoman.
Great, thank you so much. If there are no further questions or comments regarding the proposed modification to the CDC bylaws, we will now call the item to a vote. The resolution before us would amend the Article 2, Section 2 of the CDC bylaws in order to modify the duties of the CDC chair. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Wheat.
Thank you, Vice Chair Wheat. Do I have a second?
Second, Grace Chair McKibben.
Thank you, Secretary McKibben. In accordance with the Open Meetings Act, all votes are to be conducted by roll call so that each member's vote on each issue can be identified and recorded. Commissioners, please signify your vote on approval of the motion by saying yes, no, or abstain. Vice Chair Wheat,
Yes.
Secretary McKibben,
Yes.
Commissioner Buford, Commissioner Cox,
Yes.
Commissioner Curtis, Commissioner Davis, Commissioner Gomez is absent, Commissioner Griggs, Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Trevino,
Yes.
and Chair Butler votes yes. The motion passes. Commissioners, for the next item of business, DPD is seeking authority to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with the Steep Theater Company for the construction required to rehabilitate the building located at 5300 through 5318 North Kenmore in the Hollywood Sheridan Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project area, and to recommend to the City Council of the City of Chicago the designation of Steep Theater as developer. Tim Jeffries will provide a brief description of this change on behalf of the Department of Planning and Development. Tim, you may proceed.
Thank you, Chairwoman Butler and Commissioners. For the record, again, my name is Tim Jeffries, Acting Managing Deputy Commissioner in the Department of Planning and Development. I'm here today to request the designation of Steep Theater Company as the developer for the project at 5300 North Kenmore Avenue, and the authorization for DPD to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with Steep Theater. Also joining me today is Peter Moore, the Artistic Director of Steep Theater. The proposed project is located at 5300 North Kenmore Avenue and was within the Edgewater community area, the 48th Ward, and the Hollywood Sheridan TIF District. The subject property, which is highlighted in red, is at the intersection of Berwyn and Kenmore Avenue and is one block east of the Berwyn Avenue Red Line station. Shown here is the overall condition of the building, which is in stable condition currently, but is still in some need of improvements, including foundation repairs, exterior repairs, and a roof replacement, as well as interior build out. Additionally, the property was formerly a Christian Science reading room, so its design and layout as a religious space has some functional limitations for future users. The Steep Theater Company plans to undertake an approximately $5 million project to renovate the existing 3,500 square foot property, as well as construct a new 1,800 square foot expansion. When completed, the new 5,300 square foot facility will include a 70-seat black box theater venue with the related back of house operations, including production space, dressing rooms, offices for the Steep Theater administration, and a community gathering space. The developer of the proposed project is the Steep Theater Company, a 501c3 not-for-profit theater ensemble that was founded in the year 2000. Over the company's 23-year history, they've produced over 70 shows, which have been both critical and commercial success. In recognition of this excellence, the Steep Theater has been nominated for over 50 Jeff Awards, the Chicago area award for the theater excellence, and has won 12 of them, including for Best Production, Best Director, and Best Ensemble. Steep Theater had most recently functioned as a storefront theater from 2008 to 2020, but they lost their nearby home that was at 1115 West Berwyn Avenue when the property was sold by their landlord for a larger development project. The architect for this project is Civic Projects, which is an MWBE firm with significant experience working on projects that have both a cultural focus as well as receiving city funds. That has included in the past the National Museum of Mexican Art, as well as the National Public Housing Museum. The estimated total cost of construction for this project is approximately $5 million. A combined $2 million in funds would come from equity, lender financing, and charitable contributions. Up to $3 million or 59.7% of the total project cost is proposed to come from TIF. If it is approved, it's expected that TIF will be provided to the developer either as a reimbursement upon the issuance of the certificate of completion or through 4 payments dispersed from escrow during construction milestones. Once completed, this is what we expect that the project will look like. As you can see, the existing building will have those necessary improvements, but it will visually remain the same. The proposed addition, however, has a more modern design, and you can see it on the left-hand side of the screen over here. DPD's review of the project found a strong rationale to support the use of city funds, specifically that the project will reestablish a longtime cultural asset for the neighborhood in a permanent home, still within the neighborhood. It also has the strong support of both the community as well as Alderman Osterman, who I believe is with us today. And finally, it will reactivate a currently vacant property that has a unique layout and would potentially be challenging for other users in the future. The step between theater and religious space is obviously smaller than some other uses that could be proposed for the site. For all of those reasons, as well as DPD's review of the qualifications of the development team, the financial structure of the project, and the overall conformance of the project with the redevelopment area plan, DPD requests that the Community Development Commission recommend to City Council the designation of Steep Theater Company, NFP, as the developer of the Steep Theater project, and to provide DPD with the authority to negotiate, execute, and deliver a redevelopment agreement. I thank you for your favorable consideration of this request, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Tim,
Thank
can
you,
I?
Tim. Thank you,
I'm
Tim.
sorry.
I'm sorry, Bob. McKenna, do you?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Kamal if he could let in Commissioner Davis. In fact, let in anybody that is a commissioner, because they're actually watching the video, but they can't.
They're in, Bob.
Of Davis.
Yes.
Thank
Commissioner
you. I'm finally in.
All
Thank
right.
you. Happy Valentine's Day. Sending the love.
Happy Valentine's Day.
I've been listening in, missing you guys. All
Thank
right.
you, Commissioner Davis. We do love you for Valentine's Day. So. Thank you. Okay. Bob, do you see any other commissioners in the that have not been promoted as panelists?
I don't see any right now. I think I'll keep looking though.
Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate that.
No problem.
I would now like to recognize Alderman Osterman, who was kind enough to join us, and invite the Alderman to make a statement on the project if he chooses. Thank you.
He does. Thank you very much, commissioners. Really want to ask your support for this dynamic project for Steep Theater. As Tim identified, Steep has a long, distinguished history as being one of the better theater companies in Chicago that annually wins awards. What's really unique about Steep Theater, though, within the Edgewater community is their partnership with the neighborhood, specifically in the area where they're going to redevelop the theater. At their former location, they would hold community events inside and outside of the theater company to really help build community in that area that is, like many parts of Chicago, has issues with safety. They really opened their doors and rolled out the red carpet and were really part of the neighborhood. This is in the shadows of the Berwyn-L station, which is currently under construction. It's 1 block away. The location where they're going to build, they've bought the building, they're going to renovate the building, is a location that has great opportunity for continuing that community partnership inside the building and outside the building. We are a very dense neighborhood, and this building with the Steep Theater going there has been welcomed by my neighborhood with open arms and a lot of celebration. So I would ask for the support of the committee on this. We looked at this is going to be a dynamic theater, but also it's going to help boost economic development with new businesses, restaurants, other locations near the Berwyn-L station when the CTA is done with their construction in about 2 years. So we look at this as really being kind of the glue in the middle of this part of our neighborhood to help bring in economic development, great theater, but also with a really strong community component that Steep has really demonstrated for the last decade.
Thank you so much, Alderman Osterman, for joining us today. We appreciate your time and we appreciate your comments in support of this project. Before we move forward in the agenda, I see that Bob McKenna has his hand raised. Bob, is there something we need to do administratively here?
No, I didn't have my hand raised in purpose, so I think I just probably hit the wrong button.
Okay, all right, great, thank you. No written statements from the public were submitted on this matter. Commissioners, Tim Jeffries from the department is joined by Peter Moore today, who is the artistic director of the Steep Theater, and both are available to help answer your questions. Commissioners, do you have any questions on this matter? If you do, please raise your hand. Vice Chair Wheat.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A question for staff or for the developer. In terms of sources and uses of funds, can you talk in particular about the debt line and provide more description on what's meant by debt, and is it a bank loan or just more details there would be helpful.
I'll let Peter answer this, but I believe that the loan is a bank loan that was used to help finance the acquisition of the property, and that the other funds are. I'll defer to Peter, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a mortgage loan from Wintrust.
I'm sorry, Peter, could you please, for purposes of this meeting, begin by identifying yourself?
Sure, I'm sorry. Hi, Peter Moore, Artistic Director, Steep Theater. In response to the question, the debt is in fact a loan from Wintrust Bank to help with the purchase of the building.
Got it. That's all I had. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Great, thank you, Vice Chair Wheat. Are there any questions, additional questions from members of the commission? If there are no questions, I'm sorry, Commissioner Cox.
No, it wasn't really a question. It was really just a recognition of the amazing work that Steep Theater has done. And it's just wonderful to see them doubling down on their in their own home. Very often we get comments from the cultural community about how is TIF being used to help our arts and culture institutions anchor themselves in their place, their chosen locations. And I think this is just a wonderful example of the strategic use of TIF dollars to do just that. So we wish you the best of luck and thank you for taking on the challenge.
Thank you very much. We are honored and excited about the prospect of staying in this neighborhood.
I'm sorry, Mr. Moore, if you could just identify yourself as
Sorry.
having made that comment for purposes of the public record.
Peter Moore, Artistic Director, Steep Theater. Thank you very much. We are honored and excited by the prospect.
Thank you so much. Commissioners, are there any additional questions or comments? If there are no further questions from members of the commission, I would now like to invite members of the public who have used the raise your hand feature to be recognized. Each person I call upon to speak will be limited to 3 minutes per agenda items. Kamal, I don't see any hands raised on this matter. Could you please confirm that's correct?
That's correct, June.
Thank you, Kamal. If there are no further questions or comments regarding the matter before us, we will now call the item to a vote. The resolution before us is the Department of Planning and Development is seeking authority to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with the Steep Theater Company for the construction required to rehabilitate the building located at 5300 through 5318 North Kenmore in the Hollywood Sheridan Tax Increment Financing redevelopment project area, and to recommend to the City Council of the City of Chicago the designation of Steep Theater as developer. Do I have a motion?
So moved by Grace Chair McKibben.
Thank you, Secretary Commission. Do I have a second?
Second, Thomas.
All right, I'm sorry, it was moved by Secretary Grace Chan McKinnon. It was seconded by Commissioner Thomas. In accordance with the Open Meetings Act, all votes are to be conducted by roll call so that each member's vote on each issue can be identified and recorded. Commissioners, please signify your vote on approval of the motion by saying yes, no, or abstain. Vice Chair Wheat,
Yes.
Secretary Chan McKibben,
Yes.
Commissioner Buford, Commissioner Cox,
Yes.
Commissioner Curtis, Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Gomez is absent, Commissioner Griggs, Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Trevino,
Yes.
and Chair Butler votes yes. The motion passes. Commissioners, for the next item of business, the Department of Planning and Development is seeking authority to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with Hudson Michigan Avenue owner LLC for the redevelopment of the property located at 2222 South Michigan Avenue in the Michigan Cermak Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project area, and to recommend to the City Council of the City of Chicago the designation of Hudson Michigan Avenue owner LLC as developer. Billy Grahams will provide a brief description of this on behalf of the Department of Planning and Development. You may now begin.
Good afternoon, Chairman Butler and members of the commission. For the record, my name is William Grahams with the Department of Planning and Development. With me today, I have Tim Jeffries with DPD and Israel Adonijay and Tibor Kellerman from the development team. The resolution before you requests a recommendation to the City Council to designate Hudson Michigan Avenue owner LLC and its affiliates as the developer for the 2222 South Michigan project. It also requests authority for the Department of Planning and Development to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with the developer. The 2222 South Michigan project is located at 2222 South Michigan Avenue in the 3rd Ward, the near South Side community area, the Michigan Cermak TIF district, and the Central Planning region. The alderwoman is Pat Dowell. This district was established in 1989 to retain and upgrade sound buildings and improve the physical environment to make the area more attractive for new business location and expansion. Here is an overhead view of the neighborhood. The project site is located on the west side of South Michigan Avenue, just to the south of East Cermak Road, and is served by the Cermak McCormick Place CTA Green Line Station and the number 1, 3, 4, and 21 buses. Here is an aerial view with the building highlighted in yellow. Here is a view showing the current condition of the building. The project will renovate the 100-year-old Hudson Motor Company building in the Motor Row Historic District into approximately 38 residential units, 20% of which will be affordable, and approximately 51,200 square feet of commercial retail use. The commercial retail use is anticipated to include a speakeasy, a restaurant, event space, 18 boutique hotel rooms, fitness space, and a rooftop pool and bar. The total project cost is $62.5 million, and the TIF request is for $10 million to be provided as a $5 million grant and a $5 million loan. The estimated timeline to complete is 12 months. Hudson Michigan Avenue owner LLC will be the developer for the project. Its principals are Israel Adonijay, former player for the Chicago Bears, and Tibor Kellerman of Kellerman Kamano Investments. Israel played in the National Football League for 11 years, 10 of which were with the Chicago Bears. He is the founder of IF Charities, which has served more than 10,000 youth through its various programs. His companies include Athletic Comics, a custom comics producer, RSTR, a boutique gym in the South Loop, and the Fabric Impact House in the Loop. Tibor is the founder of Kellerman Kamano Investments, a real estate investment company in Southern California, and focuses on commercial real estate development and management. He has been involved in the development of over 2.5 million square feet of properties. The bar and restaurant portions of the project will be operated by Stephen Galanders. Stephen is an award-winning local restaurateur who runs Apollonia across the street from the project site, as well as other restaurants in the city. The company Common will manage the 38 residential units and the 18 short-stay hotel keys. Common was founded in 2015 and manages 48 buildings in 9 cities in the United States, including 3 buildings in Chicago. The project will be financed through a mix of equity, debt, historic tax credits, a TIF loan, and a TIF grant. The TIF grant will be used to reimburse eligible historic restoration costs. The TIF loan will be used for other TIF eligible costs. The city through DPD intends to provide the developer with TIF assistance in an amount not to exceed $10 million. The TIF funds will be provided from the Michigan CERMAC TIF District's area-wide increment. The first $5 million of TIF funds will be provided as a loan through a construction escrow after all other funding sources are expended. The remaining $5 million of TIF will be provided as a grant and paid out in 2 equal installments. The first payment will be made upon the issuance of the certificate of completion, and the second at the 1-year anniversary of the certificate. Here are renderings of what the completed project will look like. In sum, the project will rehabilitate and reactivate a vacant historic landmark building, provide food and beverage amenities to the community, add to the affordable housing stock, and create more than 100 full-time jobs and 125 temporary construction jobs. DPD has thoroughly reviewed the proposed project, the qualifications of the development team, and the need for public assistance. DPD recommends that the Community Development Commission approve the designation of Hudson Michigan Avenue Owner LLC and its affiliates as developer for the 2222 South Michigan project so that the project can advance to the City Council. Thank you for your consideration, and I take any questions.
Thank you, Billy. Alderwoman Pat Dow has joined us and has been patiently waiting, I believe, to make a statement regarding this proposed project. And so I would invite Alderwoman Dow to make a statement at this time.
Thank you, Commissioner Chairman Hatton Butler, and to the various members of the Community Development Commission. I'm here this afternoon asking your support for 2222 South Michigan. This is one of the most stunning buildings, historical buildings along the Motor Road area along Michigan. And I'm grateful that Israel Adonijah and his team have agreed to make an important investment in the area. This investment builds out on the McCormick Place Convention area. The area is nestled between McCormick Place and Chinatown and offers the kind of amenities we're looking to see along Motor Road, including restaurants, a hotel, a speakeasy, and housing opportunities, including the 8 affordable units that are part of this deal. The development team has engaged a minority general contracting firm and have committed to prioritizing minority subcontracts, in addition to providing a number of union jobs and permanent jobs, over 150 permanent jobs. They've also agreed to enter into a neutrality agreement with Unite Here, Local 1 for the hotel. I believe that this project is going to be an additional catalyst to the Motor Road area. And if you haven't been in the area lately, in addition to the streetscape improvements, and it's just a new vibrancy in the area. We look forward to seeing this new addition, and I ask for your support for this project today. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Alderwoman Dow. We appreciate your comments and your time today. Can I ask the department to give me a full screen, please, so I can see everyone The presentation is still up. Thank you. Commissioners, we have received 2 written statements on this matter from Lou Weeks and Joanna Chambers. I will read them now. This is from Lou Weeks, Executive Vice President, Unite Here Local 1. The Chicago Community Development Commission, 121 North LaSalle Street, 10th floor, Chicago, Illinois, 60602, dated February 8th, 2023, regarding opposition to TIF funding for 2222 South Michigan. Dear Chair Butler and members of the Community Development Commission, I write to express Unite Here Local 1's opposition to TIF funding for the hospitality development proposed for 2222 South Michigan Avenue. There is no commitment that the proposed hospitality development at 2222 South Michigan Avenue will create a path to good jobs for the community, nor is there a commitment to invest in high quality job training, including registered culinary apprenticeships to provide residents who are unemployed or underemployed with an on-ramp to a great hospitality job. In the absence of such commitments, this development should not receive any public subsidy. We urge you to vote no on the TIF for the hospitality development at 2222 South Michigan Avenue. Sincerely, Lou Weeks. I will now read into the record the second written comment that we received. Written testimony before the Community Development Commission submitted by Joanna Chambers, dated February 10th, 2023, regarding vote no of the TIF for 2222 South Michigan. Dear members of the Community Development Commission, is Joanna Chambers. I live in the 3rd Ward near 41st and Prairie. I am a hospitality worker and member of Unite Here Local 1. I urge you to vote no on the TIF for 2222 South Michigan because there is no commitment from the developer to create a path to good jobs in the 3rd Ward for residents or to invest in high quality job training. I know the difference between having a good job and a low quality job. I started working in the hospitality industry when I was 16 years old. Back then, I didn't have a good job. I worked as much as I could to support myself and my child, but it was still hard to make ends meet because my wages were so low. I had to rely on state health insurance. It felt like being in a hole I could never crawl out of. I never want to feel that way again. When I got my good hospitality job at Navy Pier, it changed my life. Now, as a bartender, I have excellent health insurance for my family, and I only pay $30 per month. I make enough where I can pay our bills without stress. I have 3 children, and one of them has severe asthma. Because of my great health insurance, we work closely with her primary care doctor to keep it under control. Because I work one good, stable hospitality job, I have time to spend with my 3 kids. My 3rd Ward residents deserve to have good hospitality jobs at 2222 South Michigan. Jobs with great affordable health insurance that pay enough to keep up with rent so they don't have to take on a second job. We need to invest in high quality job training, including registered culinary apprenticeships, so that residents, especially young people who are unemployed or underemployed, have access to great hospitality jobs. But the developer of 2222 South Michigan has made no commitment to create a path to good jobs or invest in high quality job training and registered culinary apprenticeships. We could be stuck with low wage, poor benefit jobs at 2222 South Michigan. This is the last thing our community needs. We should not be subsidizing hospitality developments like this. We deserve better. I urge you to vote no on the TIF for 2222 South Michigan. Sincerely, Joanna Chambers. Mrs. Chambers provided her address. I will not read her address into the public record, but she did provide her address. I'd like to confirm with Bob McKenna that there and Tim Jeffries that there were no additional written comments received on this matter.
That's correct, Chairwoman.
Okay, great. Thanks, Tim. Commissioners, Mr. Grams of the DPD is joined by members of the development team and everyone is available to help answer your questions. Commissioners, do you have any questions for DPD? I see that Commissioner Grace Chan McKibben has her hand raised.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am excited that there are new developments in Motor Row, but I do have a few questions. One is on the affordable housing units. Do we know approximately what the rents would be? And am I hearing it correctly that 20% means 8 units? And then my other question was about local jobs, which sounded like other people have already raised. Thank you.
So, William Grams, DPD. Yes, so 8 units is 20% of the residential units will be ARO units. I can't give you the exact dollar amounts of the rents, but they will be at 60% of area median income.
Thank you. Yeah, so my other question was about the provision of local jobs, which was also raised by the 2 letters that were submitted.
Hi, this is Tim Jeffries, Acting Managing Deputy Commissioner. I mean, I think it's our expectation that they, particularly with the union, as Chairwoman Dowell said, that, you know, I think that there has been a car check neutrality agreement already offered. It's our expectation that the developer will continue to work with Unite Here to, you know, finalize that or any other agreement that's necessary for them to advance this project. Yeah, that is really a function of those 2 working together. This is the start of the process. We don't have a redevelopment agreement now. And so it's, you know, we probably have months that it goes to before it goes to City Council. So it's my expectation that we would have such a pathway that was requested before we take this to City Council.
Hi, my name is Israel Idonije. I'm a part of the development team. I just would like to add, you know, I've primarily had the conversations with Unite One as far as their concerns with the project. And, you know, our restaurant partner, Stephen Gillanders with Apollonia across the street, they run a fantastic restaurant with a great staff. And we have made a commitment, in fact, to this neighborhood, to the community, and we made a commitment to our employees, you know, and we've actually put our resources, you know, in a significant manner to this project. So I disagree. I just wanted to be clear to the commission that we have made a significant commitment and are looking forward to continue to work with Unite One to come to a common ground as far as where they think we should be with their asks and with what we're trying to do to make sure this is a successful project for the community and ultimately for the city. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I believe that Commissioner Davis has her hand raised.
Yes, thank you. So I want to just get a little bit more clarity as it relates to the commitment and what exactly that commitment looks like. I think that, you know, I too am excited to see development in that area, but anytime there are community members who have concerns, it does give me pause when I hear we've made commitment and that we're still working with them to see what that commitment looks like. I know it's ongoing, but can you give me an example of what you mean when you say commitment, what that really looks like? And if you've done that in the past with other developments?
So this is my first major development of this scale. This is Israel Idonije with the development team. This is my first development of this scale, but I do have over 35 employees across the city. I have a manufacturing facility here in the city as well, and you know we've made a commitment to take care of everyone on our team. I know this is a little bit different, but I think we've also, me personally, I've contributed $1 million to this project. that is a significant commitment that I've made because I believe in the South Loop. I live there just a few blocks away. I feel that this project is going to bring a lot of life and vigor to Michigan and Cermak, and in alignment with what the leadership in the area wants as well. And our discrepancy with Unite One is we've agreed to have the hotels and potentially the residential peak components as a part of their agreement with what they're looking for, but the F&B component, the restaurants being included, as per the relationship with our restaurant partner, puts that component of the project in a really tough position economically. So we were not able to agree with them on that commitment, and really that's the disparity with the conversations we've had with Unite One, and we're looking forward to continue to work with them and hopefully come to a place where they see the value that we're bringing, and that we can get them on board with what we're doing.
Just one more thing, because I just don't understand how this all works exactly. So
Okay.
when you say that you've agreed to one part of it, but you can't agree to the restaurant piece, what
Yeah.
exactly does that mean? I just don't understand.
Yeah, they've asked. We've agreed that we will be neutral in their ask to bring their team to the project, and which we were okay with that in its entirety, with the exception of that the restaurant piece, our staff and employee involved in the restaurant, that we could not include that component in their agreement.
Okay, thank you, that's helpful.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I'm gonna, I see that Alderwoman Dow has her hand raised, and Alderwoman Dow, I am going to acknowledge you, but I would like to ask your development partner about their experience in this area in terms of what they have done to address the concerns that were raised in the written comments to the commission. So that would be Mr. Kellerman, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, if you could, for purposes of the record, introduce yourself and just describe your firm's experience in meeting the requirements and addressing the concerns that were raised in the written comments that we received.
Happy to. My name is Tibor Kellerman. I've been Israel and Donajay's business partner for the last 4.5 years. This has been a tough project to bring to fruition. As you all may know, it's been 4.5 years in the making, and collectively we have almost $10 million of equity in the project. So it's a pretty significant dollar commitment that we've made, simply because the vision that Israel and I share about transforming this building, and with that the community, is one and the same. We envision this project to be a beacon of light, really, in Motor Row, being that it's the largest building going from one end to the other of Michigan Avenue and Wabash. And it's a historic building. A lot of capital has to go into this to work. The F&B component that Israel had spoken about, it's difficult, and because Stephen Gillanders has opened over 10 restaurants, several of which are Michelin star rated, that require a deep employee pool. And so for us to essentially not have restraints on that, and the flexibility to grow and scale up and down as the requirement comes up, is important. So we're open to certainly working with the union on this. We're in dialogue, so this is a surprise for us that they objected to this. But I think that what we're hoping to bring to Vision here is going to require a lot of employees. And in order for this to truly work and come together cohesively as a mixed-use development, there has to be top-notch team. There has to be top-notch professionals that are going to be there. So these are going to be some high-paying jobs that we envision that this project is going to bring to life. So that's our commitment to the project. This is my first development deal in Chicago. But as Billy had introduced us, I've been involved in over 2.5 million square feet of ground-up development in Southern California. So this is although it's my first project in Chicago, this is not new to me. And so given that we've put that many dollars at risk at this point in an empty building that has no revenue, hopefully that demonstrates commitment on our part.
And Mr. Kellerman, this is Chairwoman Butler. Given your deep experience in the California markets, could you just spend a few minutes, a few seconds, describing exactly what that experience is, and also how you've addressed similar concerns in the developments and redevelopments that you've executed?
Certainly, Chairwoman Butler. My career spans 20 years now in Southern California primarily. We've been involved in the creation of 5 separate office projects in the Irvine area. These projects included a total of 250 buildings that we built ground up and sold primarily to owner users, small business owners. Present day, we are re-entitling a 16-acre 5-office complex project into a 1,200-unit multifamily project in the city of Laguna Hills. And along that, we are also working on 2 150,000 square foot industrial buildings that we're re-entitling office to industrial projects. So our team has the depth and expertise to be dealing with these sort of issues. And clearly, most developers have to become a steward of the community, or else the project is not going to be what it needs to be. So we're looking forward to working with the community to not only bringing high-paying jobs, but hopefully transforming the experience in Motor Row. And so, I hope that answers the question, Chairman Butler.
It does. You've answered my questions. Thank you so much. Alderwoman Dow, thank you for being so patient.
No problem, Chairman Hatton Butler. I just wanted to put on the record that there is also support for this project from the Near South Planning Board. I think that Tim Jeffries can also attest to that, but I wanted that to be known to the commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman Dow. Vice Chair Wee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A question for the DPD staff, going back to Secretary Tam McKimmon's questions on the affordable housing component. In the package we were provided, there was very little detail with respect to that. So can we get more detail? I guess a couple questions. One is the 20%. I think the 20% is essentially the floor that the developer has to hit in order to receive TIF funding. And then secondly, could either staff or developer talk about the nature of those kind of 6 units versus the 38, particularly in terms of kind of bedrooms? I think we always kind of have a concern about what do these ultimately look like, family units or more kind of studio apartments versus larger square footage units, which are more market rate.
Sure. Tim Jeffries, acting managing deputy commissioner in DPD. The units would be pursuant to the city's affordable requirements ordinance. So that document would be the overarching structure. I believe it's a requirement in that document that any project that received TIFs is subject to those requirements. So 20% would be set aside. They would be same like and kind quality, as well as unit counts as the majority of the building. So if 50% are 1 bedroom and 50% are 2 bedroom, then 50% of the 20% affordable units need to be 1 bed, and the other, they can't make them be a different level of quality or a different level of standard as the rest of the building as a whole. I can provide you the rent roll. I believe it previously was like $1.41 a square foot. That's set pursuant to the citywide standard, but I'd need to, don't hold me to that number. I'll talk to our colleagues in the Department of Housing and circulate it through the chair later today or tomorrow.
And I'm sorry, for the record, this is Katie Janke-Dale from DLA Piper. I'm the zoning counsel or entitlements counsel for the developer. On the question about unit count, and to Tim's point, the overall mix of the building is 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms. And so we also, to your point, this is unique in that we have a number of 4 bedrooms. So the breakdown for the affordable units would be 6 4 bedrooms, one 2-bedroom and one 1-bedroom for the 8 affordable units. And those under the 2021 era would be at a weighted average of 60% AMI. Those rents and AMIs change every year. So we would be going off of the tables the Department of Housing puts out annually and complying with those.
Thank you for that. And Madam Chair, maybe one more question, again, for either staff or the developers. I think one of the things that was described in the comments in terms of discussions on jobs neutrality agreements was time, and there was still time for ongoing discussions. Can maybe staff provide a timeline for the timeline? What is the expectation as to when this would proceed to City Council, and what are the other steps that are blocking it from necessarily going at the next meeting?
Again, Tim Jeffries, Department of Planning. We don't have, this body authorizes us to negotiate an RDA, so we haven't engaged in those discussions yet. It kind of depends on how, I don't want to use the word contentious, but complicated, we'll say, those negotiations become. I would say that I don't expect it would be any earlier than an April or May introduction. But I mean, if I'm being realistic, that the election is a factor with that too. So.
And again, for the record, Katie Jenkey-Dale, like Israel had mentioned, we have already started engaging in discussions with Unite Here. They've sent us a draft, we've sent a draft back. So we're already underway in those discussions, and we would expect that to follow and likely be complete prior to the RDA being ready to go to council. But we're in active discussions and we'll continue to do so before going to council on the RDA.
Thank you. No other questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair Wheat. Are there other questions, any additional questions from members or comments from members of the commission? Kamal, can you confirm that there are no, I'm sorry, I do see one member of the commission, and that is Commissioner Davis.
I have one more quick question, and I see Alderman Pat Dow still on. And my question is, what does follow-up look like? So if we vote yes and everything moves ahead, how do we ever know that this actually is happening? What is the follow-up? And I guess my question really is also for Alderman Dow, is there something in place where somebody, your office, somebody keeps track of and make sure that these promises are made good on, that they're followed through on? How do we ever know?
Well, I can give you my commitment here. I mean, I actually hire a development consultant to work with my office on projects similar to this throughout the entire ward. I keep in contact with Israel as a constituent. I see him from time to time, whether it's in the store or just anywhere on the street. And, we continue to have conversations about the status of this project. So his commitment to me, or the development team's commitment to me, is that they're going to work with Unite Here around a neutrality agreement. Now, when we get to City Council, my anticipation is that that will be an agreement that is real. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman Dow. Are there any additional questions or comments from members of the CDC? Okay, I don't see any further questions from members of the CDC. So now I would like to invite members of the public who have used the raise your hand feature to be recognized. Each person I call upon to speak will be limited to 3 minutes per agenda item. So Kamal, I'm going to ask you for your assistance with this part of the meeting. And I do see one hand raised, Joanna Chambers, who also submitted, I assume this is the same Joanna Chambers that submitted a written statement. So Ms. Chambers, thank you so much for your patience and for your participation in today's meeting. And you may begin.
Okay, good morning. I was hoping to share my story verbally this morning, but as you heard, having a path to good hospitality jobs, including all food and beverage jobs, is really important to me as a bartender. I hope you'll take that into account. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chambers. Kamal, are there other members of the public who have raised their hand to speak on this matter?
No other hands raised, Chairman.
Thank you for that confirmation. We'll now call the item for a vote. The resolution before us, the Department of Planning and Development is seeking authority to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with Hudson Michigan Avenue Owner LLC for the redevelopment of the property located at 2222 South Michigan Avenue in the Michigan Cermak Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project Area, and to recommend to the City Council of the City of Chicago the designation of Hudson Michigan Avenue Owner LLC as developer. Do I have a motion?
So move, Thomas.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Do I have a second?
Second by Commissioner Cox.
Thank you, Commissioner Cox. In accordance with the Open Meetings Act, all votes are to be conducted by roll call so that each member's vote on each issue can be identified and recorded. Commissioners, please signify your vote on approval of the motion by saying yes, no, or abstain. Vice Chair Weeks,
Yes.
Secretary Chan McKibben,
Yes.
Commissioner Buford, Commissioner Cox,
Yes.
Commissioner Curtis, Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Gomez is absent, Commissioner Griggs, Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Trevino,
Yes.
and Chair Butler votes yes. The motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're
you.
grateful for it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Commissioners, for the next item of business, I am going to recuse myself from the vote. While I do not have a financial interest in the project, I do have a professional relationship with Leon Walker, the managing principal of DL3 Realty and developer of this project, through our work on the Chicago Emerging Minority Developer Initiative. Out of an abundance of caution, I will therefore be recusing myself from any involvement on this item, and pursuant to CDC bylaws, will ask Vice Chairman Wheat to preside over this item. Chris, it's all yours. I'm going off camera. I'll be back for the next agenda item, following the discussion and vote on this one.
Great. Thank you, Madam Chair. For the next item, the city is requesting authority to designate DL3 Thrive Exchange LIHCC South LLC or related entity as the successful respondent to the city's 79th and Exchange Invest Southwest request for proposals issued by the Department of Planning and Development for the sale and development of city-owned property located at 7909 South Exchange Avenue in the Avalon Park South Shore TIF redevelopment area, and to seek the authority of Chicago City Council to sell the city-owned property by negotiating a redevelopment agreement with DO3 Realty Advisors LLC for the development of both the city-owned property at 7909 South Exchange Avenue and the developer-owned property located at 7901 through 7907 and 7911 South Exchange Avenue, and to recommend to the City Council the designation of DO3 Thrive Exchange LIHCC South LLC as the developer. Yixao Shin will provide a brief description of the change on behalf of the Department of Housing, as well as the Department of Planning and Development.
Good afternoon, Chairwoman and Commissioners. For the record, my name is Yixao Shen, Financial Planning Analyst with Department of Housing. Together with me is Tanya Kadakia, Director of DL3 Realty Advisors LLC. The project I'm presenting today is Thrive Exchange South. The subject property is located on the southeast corner of 79th Street and Exchange Street in the South Chicago community area, Avalon Park, Southford TIF District, approximately 10 miles south of Chicago downtown. The project is supported by the 7th Ward Alderman Gregory Mitchell. Invest Southwest is the economic development initiative funding investments in 12 key commercial corridors in 10 communities on Chicago's south and west sides. 79th Exchange Invest Southwest request for proposal is for the purchase and the development of 16 parcels on 2 development sites along East 79th Street and South Exchange Boulevard. The RFP was issued in April 2021 by Department of Planning and Development. 2 proposals were received by August 2021. DPD has determined that the developer's amended proposal best satisfied the goals and objectives of the RFP. Therefore, recommend the L3 Realty Advisors selected as the successful respondent to the RFP and the developer of the Thrive Exchange South project. The mixed-use building on the south side, colored in blue, is the project I'm presenting today. The subject site is around 17,972 square feet, including 3 parcels. It is currently occupied by a derelict building that will be demolished. The parcel in the middle is owned by the city with a size of 3,131 square feet with a appraised value of $22,000. The land sale was published on Chicago Tribune in 2021, together with the announcement of the RFP. The land will be conveyed to the developer for the construction of this project for $1. The other 2 parcels on the north and the south were owned by a private owner and purchased by a related entity of the developer with an acquisition price of $250,000. The Thrive Exchange South includes the new construction of a 6-story mid-rise building, which will provide 43 affordable units. Also feature ground floor for retail space. Project amenities include community room, on-site management office, laundry facilities, workout room, bike storage, and parking. The project will generate 8 permanent jobs in property management, maintenance, and security, and 100 temporary jobs during construction. DL3 Thrive Exchange Litec South LLC will be the owner, and it will consist of managing member DL3 Thrive Exchange Litec South manager, which will be 100% owner until the investor member is admitted. At that point, the general partner will hold 99.99% of the ownership. DL3 Realty Advisors, an MBE and BIPOC-led entity, is the sole member of the general partner. DL3 Realty Advisors is a local engaged and a national recognized full-service real estate in development firm that is dedicated to transforming communities through high-impact commercial real estate. The following table provides a unit profile of the proposed project. The subject property will provide 4 studios, 21 bedroom units, 19 2-bedroom units, a total of 43 rental units, of which 100% will be affordable for households earning no more than 60% of the AMI. The proposed total development cost is around $26,248,710. The developer requests a donation of city-owned land, TIF, from Avalon Park, Southford TIF District, which will be 39% of the total cost. Department of Housing, assist the development with multifamily financing by allocating 4% low-income housing tax credit and a bond issue to generate over 10 million equity, as well as DOH soft bond, roughly 2.6 million from Chicago Recovery Plan. Bond issue and full financing will be submitted to City Council for approval later this year before the closing. Other funding sources including private mortgage, ComEd grant, deferred developer fee, and GP equity. The total request from TIF is 10,218,000. The TIF assistance will be provided to the developer in 3 equal payments at 33%, 66%, and 100% project completion and certificate of completion. In a summary, the overall request from CDC, including designate DL3 Realty Advisors LLC as the respondent to the RFP and recommend to City Council as the developer, approve the land sale and authorization to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with the developer. That includes my presentation. Thank you for your time. We're happy to answer any questions and concerns you may have.
Great, thank you very much. I would now like to recognize Alderperson Mitchell and invite him or a representative to make a statement on the project. I believe I saw him on earlier. He may have not been able to stay on though.
Yeah, Alderman Gregory had an in-person meeting. He just dropped off, but he supported, provided a letter of support.
Okay, thank you very much for that. No written statements from the public were submitted on this matter. Commissioners, Ms. Shen is joined by representatives from DL3 Realty, the proposed developer of this project, and are available to help answer any of your questions. So commissioners, do you have any questions for DPD staff or the developers? Commissioner Cox.
Yes, thank you. Very, very exciting moment to arrive here for South Shore. And I did want just a clarification in the project description. What components outside of the multifamily housing are we acting on? In other words, is the Ringer building, the adaptive reuse of the Ringer building, also a part of this phase of the development? I may have just zoomed out. I was so focused on the LIHTC and the housing that I was not clear about whether this act is advancing the renovation of the Ringer building as well.
Thanks, Commissioner Cox. The Ringer building is not included in this project.
Sorry, can you reintroduce yourself for the record?
This is Yi Xiaoshen.
Thank you, Brian.
Okay. So if that is the case, and that's fine, I did want to understand what was the timing on the Ringer building, or just a update status of the capital vision for that portion, and capital and programmatic vision for that portion of the development.
Sure, go ahead.
I can
and please introduce yourself for the record.
Hi, Tanya Kadakia with DL3 Realty. We are working with Chicago Family Health Center. The capital stack is new markets credits, historic credits, and a stack of primarily non-city ask money. And the architect for that portion of the project is currently working on drawing up the plans. Chicago Family Health Center is working on obtaining some soft grants that they'd like to use to sort of make the best possible use of the space.
Mm-hmm. Great. So it will remain a public health anchored facility.
That's right.
Excellent. Thank you.
I also want to recognize Commissioner Buford, who has joined the meeting and joined the call. Commissioners, any other questions? If there are no other questions, I would now like to invite members of the public who have used the raise your hand feature to be recognized. Each person I call upon to speak will be limited to 3 minutes per item. Kamal, are you seeing anyone with their hand raised?
No, Chairman, there are no hands raised, but I also just want to remind there are 2 people on the phone and they can press *9 to raise their hand in Zoom, *9.
Thank you, Kamal. We'll give folks just a second. Okay, if there are no further questions or comments regarding the matter before us, we will call the item to a vote. The resolution before us, for the city is seeking authority to designate DL3 Thrive Exchange, LIHTC South LLC, or related entity as a successful respondent to the city's 79th and Exchange and West Southwest request for the proposals issued by the Department of Planning and Development for the sale and redevelopment of city-owned property located at 7909 South Exchange Avenue in the Avalon Park South Shore TIF redevelopment area, and to seek authority of the Chicago City Council to sell the city-owned property by negotiating a redevelopment agreement with DL3 Realty Advisors, LLC, for the development of both the city-owned property at 7909 South Exchange Avenue and the developer-owned property located at 7901 through 7907 and 7911 South Exchange Avenue, and to recommend to the City Council the designation of DL3 Thrive Exchange, LIHTC South LLC as the developer. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Thomas.
Moved by Commissioner Thomas. Do I have a second?
Second by Grace Chan McKibben.
Second by Commissioner Chan McKibben. In accordance with the Open Meetings Act, all votes are to be conducted by roll call so that each member's vote on the issue can be identified and recorded. Commissioners, please signify your vote on approval of the motion by saying yes, no, or abstain. Chair Butler abstains. Secretary Chan McKibben.
Yes.
Commissioner Buford.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Curtis. Commissioner Davis.
Yes.
Commissioner Gomez is absent. Commissioner Griggs. Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Commissioner Trevino. Sorry.
Yes.
I apologize.
Trevino.
It's first. Yeah, it's my first time doing this. And Commissioner Trevino.
Yes, Trevino's a yes. Thank you.
The motion passes. I will
Thank you.
have congratulations, and I will have
Congratulations.
hand the chair position back over to Chair Butler.
Thank you, Chris. Commissioners, for the next item of business, DPD is seeking authority to advertise the Department of Planning and Development's intention to enter into a negotiated sale with NeighborSpace, a nonprofit urban land trust, for the disposition of the property located at 4553 through 4569 North Pulaski Road in the Lawrence Pulaski Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project area, to request alternative proposals and to approve the sale of the property to NeighborSpace if no responsive alternative proposals are received. Meg Gustafson will provide a brief description of this on behalf of the Department of Planning and Development.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. For the record, my name is Meg Gustafson. I'm with the Department of Planning and Development. This is an exciting garden project that we are spending TIF money, impact fee money, and CRP funds to get this garden going with NeighborSpace. It's located at 455 North Pulaski. Will is sharing my screen for me today. Will, can you go to the next slide, please? These 5 city-owned pins are located at the corner of Wilson and Pulaski. They've been city-owned for many years and have not been used. The community and the aldermen are all in support of this project. Next slide, please. Here's the temporary fencing that's up right now. You can see the artwork is really interesting. We have a lot of, there's going to be raised beds, a teepee, and more artwork once this is done, which next slide, please, you can see in the budget. Will, can you go to the next slide? Or is it? Thank you. Great. So since 2019, First Nations Garden has been working with NeighborSpace and Alderman Carlos Rosa of the 35th Ward, led by the Chey Nations Youth Council, to get this garden off the ground. In November 2022, we went to TIC to approve $350,000 for environmental cleanup and site preparation. DPD is requesting to transfer the vacant land for $1 per parcel to NeighborSpace. And we will use $89,000 in open space impact fee funds for the build out. We also are requesting Chicago Recovery Program, CRP vacancy program funds for further environmental cleanup and site preparation. Next slide, please. Here's how the budget breaks down. We have an approximately $1.1 million budget. The site prep is estimated at $350,000. And as you can see from the rest of the budget, that would all be for build out, water service, project management, design, and a contingency. I also have Ben Helpan here from NeighborSpace. Next slide, please. Oh, okay. I had a slide, I thought, of the history of NeighborSpace. They own over 100 gardens in Chicago, and they are a nonprofit land trust. And that concludes my presentation. I can answer any questions, and Ben Helfand can also answer questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Meg. I don't believe that, at least I don't see any, either Alderman Ramirez Rosa or anyone from his staff on with us. Is that correct?
I don't see him either. He's in support of this. Sorry, I should have probably reminded him to come today.
Not a problem. No written statements from the public were submitted on this matter. As Meg mentioned, we do have a member of the development team, Ben Helpan, available to answer questions from members of the CDC. Commissioners, if you have any questions regarding the agenda item, please use the raise your hand function to be recognized. Kamal, I don't see any raised hands from members of the CDC. Is that correct?
That's correct, Chairwoman.
Great, thank you. Given that there are no questions from members of the CDC, I would now like to invite members of the public who have used the raise your hand feature to be recognized. Each person I call upon to speak will be limited to 3 minutes per agenda item. Kamal, can you confirm I don't see any raised hands from members of the public? Is that correct?
That's correct, Chairwoman. And the people on the phone can press *9 to raise their hand in Zoom.
And no hands have been raised by members of the public. So we will now call the item to a vote. In the resolution before us, the Department of Planning and Development is seeking authority to advertise its intention to enter into a negotiated sale with NeighborSpace, a nonprofit urban land trust, for the disposition of the property located at 4553 through 4569 North Pulaski Road in the Lawrence Pulaski Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project area, to request alternative proposals and to approve the sale of the property to NeighborSpace if no responsive alternative proposals are received. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Wheat.
Thank you, Vice Chair Wheat. Do I have a second?
Second, Chan McKibben.
Thank you, Secretary Chan McKibben. In accordance with the Open Meetings Act, All votes will be conducted by roll call so that each member's vote on each issue can be identified and recorded. Commissioners, please signify your vote on approval of the motion by saying yes, no, or abstain. Vice Chair Wheat,
Yes.
Secretary Chan McKibben,
Yes.
Commissioner Buford,
Yes.
Commissioner Cox,
Yes.
Commissioner Curtis, Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Gomez is absent, Commissioner Griggs, Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Trevino,
Yes.
and Chair Butler votes yes, the motion passes. Commissioners, I would now like to note, Commissioners, I will now like to note that the remaining agenda items F through J all concern the disposition of city-owned land as a market rate sale. For item F, the Department of Planning and Development is seeking authority to advertise the Department of Planning and Development's intention to enter into a negotiated sale with Bridget Flagg for the disposition of the property located at 3621 West Roosevelt Road in the Midwest Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project area, to request alternative proposals and to approve the sale of the property at market rate to Bridget Flagg if no responsive alternative proposals are received. Will Holland will provide a brief description of this on behalf of the Department of Planning and Development.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the Commission. For the record, my name is Will Holland, and I'm representing the Department of Planning and Development. The project is the proposed market rate sale of 3621 West Roosevelt to Bridget Flagg, owner of Soleil Restaurant. The city parcel is located within the Midwest TIP Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Area. Community Development Commission approval is required for the sale of the property located within the redevelopment area. This slide provides an overview of the land sale project. The purchaser is Bridget Flagg. Ms. Flagg is the owner of Soleil Restaurant, which opened on the parcel to the east of the city parcel in December 2022. The appraised value for the city lot is $22,500, which is also the purchase price. Current zoning is B32. The applicant intends to construct an outdoor dining patio, storage area, and parking on the rear of the lot. The adjacent lot at 3615 West Roosevelt is owned by Ms. Flagg. The purchaser completed an environmental phase 1 and phase 2 assessment on the property. Land will be sold with condition to place an engineered barrier and deed restriction to remain parking and paved patio. Sale proceeds will be placed in an environmental escrow. The above map shows the location of the disposition within North Lawndale and within the Midwest TIF redevelopment area. TIF district was created in 2000, and its redevelopment objectives include encouraging redevelopments in the project area and improving the design and appearance of commercial storefronts. The above parcel map here is looking south. It identifies the city parcel at 3621 West Roosevelt, outlined in red, and the applicant's lot outlined in yellow. The aerial map shows the location of the property. City lot and applicant lot both extend to the alley. Just to note, the image of the building shown here is outdated and the building has since been renovated. So the following slides show the applicant's business at 3615 West Roosevelt. Soleil Restaurant opened in December 2022. Soleil's other location opened on Chicago Avenue in 2017. And Soleil is the first sit-down restaurant on this stretch of Roosevelt in decades. This slide shows the proposed patio, parking, and storage on the city lot. The pergola and storage area will have masonry matching the applicant's adjacent restaurant's facade, and the site plan was designed by PNPC Architects. The project has the support of Alderwoman Monique Scott. In summary, the Department of Planning and Development has thoroughly reviewed the proposed project for the sale of property located at 3621 West Roosevelt to be improved as an outdoor patio, parking, and storage. The department has reviewed its public benefits and the project's conformance with the redevelopment area plan. The department recommends the CDC recommend to City Council the approval for the city's disposition of property. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. If Alderwoman Scott is on. I'd like to invite her to make a statement or comments on the project. Is anyone from her staff on? Will, do you know?
I don't believe so.
All right, then does the Alderwoman has signified her support of this?
Yes.
All right, thank you. No written statements from the public were submitted on this matter. Commissioners, if you have any questions for the department, please use the raise your hand function to be recognized. Kamal, I don't see any raised hands by members of the commission. Is that correct?
No hands raised.
Thank you. If there are no questions from members of the commission, I would now like to invite members of the public who have used the raise your hand feature to be recognized. Each person I call upon to speak will be limited to 3 minutes per agenda item. Kamal, can you confirm that there are no hands raised by members of the public?
No hands raised, Chairman.
Thank you. If there are no further questions or comments regarding the matter before us, we will call the item to a vote. The resolution before us seeks authority to advertise the Department of Planning and Development's intention to enter into a negotiated sale with Bridget Flagg for the disposition of the property located at 3621 West Roosevelt Road in the Midwest Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project area, to request alternative proposals and to approve the sale of the property at market rate to Bridget Flagg if no responsive alternative proposals are received. Do I have a motion? Do I have a-
Thomas.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Buford. In accordance with the Open Meetings Act, all votes are to be conducted by roll call so that each member's vote on each issue can be identified and recorded. Commissioners, please signify your vote on approval of the motion by saying yes, no, or abstain. Vice Chair Wheat. Vice Chair Wheat. You're on mute, I think. Yes.
Oops.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Secretary Chan McKibben,
Yes.
Commissioner Buford,
Yes.
Commissioner Cox,
Yes.
Commissioner Curtis, Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Gomez is absent, Commissioner Griggs, Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Trevino,
Yes.
and Chair Hatton Butler votes yes, the motion passes.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I also, I know sometimes these land transactions are, they are somewhat sanitized from the reality of what we're looking at, but I think it's worth noting what the planning staff said earlier. This is the first sit-down restaurant on Roosevelt Ave in decades, and that the owner not only opens up the restaurant, but is doing the type of next door cafe, outdoor cafe that we all have come to expect in our dining experience. And she's doing it in North Lawndale is to be highly, highly commended. And I just, we should never take these things for granted, because communities have been asking for these kind of dining experiences for a very long time. And this body is enabling it to happen. And I did not want that to go unnoticed, because it is a big deal. But thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cox, for your comments. And indeed, it is a very big deal. I'm sure a very welcomed amenity for the community. And I, for one, look forward to making my way to the restaurant, which, according to the department, opened in December. So I'm behind, which is not like me. So I looking forward to dining there. Commissioners, for the next item of business, DPD is seeking authority to advertise the Department of Planning and Development's intention to enter into a negotiated sale with Echo Development Group LLC for the disposition of properties located at 4451 South Calumet Avenue in the 47th and King Drive tax increment financing redevelopment project area to request alternative proposals and to approve the sale of the property at market rate to Echo Development Group LLC if no responsive alternative proposals are received. Nelson Chung will provide a brief description of this on behalf of the Department of Planning and Development.
Good afternoon. For the record, my name is Nelson Chung with the Department of Planning and Development. Just make sure you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Right. The project before you is a proposed market sale of 4451 South Calumet to Echo Development Group LLC. The city parcel is located within the 47 to King Drive Tax Increment Financing District, and Community Development Commission approval is required again because the sale is located within a TIF redevelopment area. This slide provides an overview of the land sale project. The purchaser is Echo Development Group, whose principals are Herbert and Cheryl Eck. They are residential developers, been operating since 2005 and been renovating Chicago homes in the Chicago area since then. The appraised value for the city lot is $80,000, which is the purchase price. The current zoning of the lot is RM-5, and the applicant intends to construct a new for-sale single-family home on the city property. I will note that the adjacent lot at 4453 South Calumet is also owned by Echo Development Group, which are proposing to construct two similar single-family homes. Acquiring the city lot additional to next to their lot will allow the private lot to gain alley access, which you'll see when I get to the slides. The purchaser obtained and completed an environmental phase 1 for the property and received clearance for a sale. There are no environmental conditions associated with this land sale. The above map shows the location of disposition property within the Grand Boulevard and within the 47th King Drive TIF. The TIF district was initially created in 2002, and its redevelopment objectives include encouraging private investment and redevelopment of underutilized properties. The above parcel map identifies the city parcel outlined in red, and here you can see the adjacent private lot owned by Echo Development Group outlined in yellow. This aerial map shows you the location of the property. Again, the city lot extends all the way to the alley, and a private lot owned by applicant, which you can see here, does not go all the way to the alley. These next slides show Google Street Views of the current condition of the city lot, which is empty and vacant. These are showing the contextual conditions of what's happening to the north of the city lots, and then to the south of the city lots. This is a site plan showing the layout of the existing single-family home and the lot. And this site plan shows the proposed building. Here you can see they are proposing to construct a single-family building on the lot that has a facade of a dark red brick in front, limestone accents, elevated front porch, and the sides and the back will have a fiber cement siding. This is you just saw the back, and these are the side elevations. And this is a site plan showing the layout of the city lot. Here you can see the adjacent private lot where the developer is proposing to build two single-family homes. So you can see that there'll be a plan to build 3 single-family homes using both the city lot and the developer lot. And I will point out here, you can see my cursor, but the benefit of acquiring a city lot allows the developer to use a portion of the city lot for a driveway easements for the access for the alley. That way, all 3 buildings will have are intended to have garages and will have access to the rear for their garages. And this is a typical floor plan for the single-family building. And lastly, this slide shows you a example of a prior Echo development project that they constructed at 4631 South Champlain. Again, not this site, but different prior site, but shows you contextually the similar type of material to this kind of a brick and limestone type accents. In summary, the project has the support of Alderman Dowell, who's on attendance today. The Department of Planning and Development has thoroughly reviewed the proposed project for the sale of city property located at 4551 South Calumet to Echo Development Group to be improved as a single-family home. The department has reviewed the public benefits and project conformance with the redevelopment area plan. The department recommends that the CDC recommend to the city council the approval for the city disposition of this property. That concludes my testimony.
Thank you, Nelson. Alderwoman Dow has graciously joined us for this meeting, and I'd like to give her the opportunity to make a statement if she so chooses. But before she begins, can we eliminate the presentation and have everyone participating in the meeting back up on the screen? Thank you. Alderwoman Dow, you may
Thank
begin.
you, Chairman Hatton Butler, and to the members of the CDC. My goal when it comes to housing in the Bronzeville community is to try to maintain a balance of affordable and market rate housing and public housing. I think we've been able to do this in this area. Just to the north of this location is the project done by DOH and DPD called 43 Green. And to the west of this site is CHA development on Prairie. So the goal is to take some of the vacant city-owned land and to do for sale market rate housing, which we need more of in the community. So I ask for your support here. We're being very strategic in this area. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman Dow, for your comments and for participating in today's meeting. No written statements from the public were submitted on this matter. Commissioners Nelson Chung from the department is available to help answer your questions. Please use your raise your hand function to be recognized. Commissioner Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I actually don't have a question, more of a general comment. I really do appreciate when we hear from the alderman or the alderman staff or a letter of support or comment on all of the developments. It's very appreciated and helpful. And I appreciate Alderman Dow being here, and she's very strategic with the things that is being presented to us today. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Do other members of the commission have comments or questions? Kamal, I don't see any additional hands raised by members of the commission. Can you please confirm that is correct?
No hands raised, Chair.
Thank you. As there are no questions or comments from members of the commission, I would now like to invite members of the public who have used the raise your hand feature to be recognized. Each person I call upon to speak will be limited to 3 minutes per agenda item. Kamal, I don't see any hands raised by members of the public. Can you confirm that is correct?
That is correct, Chair.
Thank you. As there are no further questions or comments regarding the matter before us, we will now call the item to a vote. The resolution before us provides authority to advertise the Department of Planning and Development's intention to enter into a negotiated sale with Echo Development Group, LLC, for the disposition of properties located at 4451 South Calumet Avenue in the 47th and King Drive Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project area, to request alternative proposals and to approve the sale of the property to Echo Development Group, LLC, if no responsive alternative proposals are received. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Thomas.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Do I have a second?
Second.
Yeah.
Seconded by Commissioner Buford. Thank you so much. In accordance with the Open Meetings Act, all votes will be conducted by roll call so that each member's vote on each issue can be identified and recorded. Commissioners, please signify your vote on approval of the motion by saying yes, no, or abstain. Vice Chair Wheat.
Yes.
Secretary Chan McKibben.
Yes.
Commissioner Buford.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Curtis. Commissioner Davis.
Yes.
Commissioner Gomez is absent. Commissioner Griggs. Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Commissioner Trevino.
Yes.
And Chair Hatton Butler votes yes, the motion passes. Commissioners, For the next item of business, DPD is seeking authority to advertise the Department of Planning and Development's intention to enter into a negotiated sale with RZS Properties LLC. I'm sorry, that someone's, if you put your phone on mute, please, whoever just joined us, thank you. I will begin again. Commissioners, for the next item of business, DPD is seeking authority to advertise the Department of Planning and Development's intention to enter into a negotiated sale with RZS Properties LLC for the disposition of properties located at 436 East 42nd Place in the 47th King Drive. I need for whoever's speaking that has background to put their phone on mute, please. Thank you. For the disposition of properties located at 436 East 42nd Place in the 47th and King Drive Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project Area to request alternative proposals and to approve the sale of the property to RZS Properties LLC if no responsive alternative proposals are received. Taylor Thompson will provide a brief description of this change on behalf of the Department of Planning and Development.
I don't have the ability to share my screen.
All right, well, check your spam.
You should have
Wait, so-
that now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
All right, so can I ask, Taylor, before you begin,
It's Miss Taylor Thompson's background, Chairwoman.
I'm sorry, it's Taylor Thompson's background?
Right.
Okay, Taylor, you just know that you have additional voices coming through.
Got it.
Please adjust your presentation voice accordingly.
1 second.
Taylor, you may begin.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, Chair and members of the Commission. For the record, my name is Taylor Thompson, and I am with the Department of Planning and Development. This project is a proposed market rate sale of 436 East 42nd Place to RZS Properties LLC. The city parcel is located within the 47th and King Drive Tax Increment Finance and Redevelopment Area. Community Development Commission approval is required for the sale of the property located within the redevelopment area. This slide provides an overview of the land sale project. The purchaser is RZS Properties LLC, whose principals are Saul Z and Rosita M. They are residential developers who build and renovate homes in the city of Chicago. Mr. Saul and his advisor Joe Moore are available here today on the Zoom call. The appraised value for the city lot is $46,000, which is the purchase price. The current zoning of the property is RM-5. The applicant intends to assemble the city lot with his adjacent private parcel to create a 34-foot wide lot to construct a new 4-unit stacked duplex residential building. Acquiring the city lot would allow the necessary square footage for the build to be possible. The purchaser completed an environmental phase 1 assessment on the property and received clearance from the Department of Assets and Information Services for sale. There are no environmental conditions required for this land sale. This above map shows the location of the disposition parcel within Grand Boulevard and within the 47th and King Drive TIF redevelopment area. The above parcel map identifies the city parcel at 436 East 42nd Place, outlined in red, and the applicant lot outlined in yellow. The aerial map shows the location of the property. The city lot and the applicant's lot both are diminutive at 17-foot wide lots. These next slides are Google Street View, which shows the city lot and the existing properties to the north and to the south of the property. This slide shows the proposed building that will be constructed on the city and the applicant's lot. The building's front incorporates prairie stone with utility brick in the sides and back, in a similar contextual style to the homes on 42nd Place. The duplex was designed by Hanna Architects. The site plan shows the layout of the 3-story, 4-unit stacked duplex with a detached garage on the city lot and the applicant's lot, showing how the city lot will provide the necessary square footage for the build. This slide is from a building that is under construction by RZS Properties at 4243 South Princeton. It shows RZS's residential product. This project has the support of Alderwoman Pat Dow. In summary, the Department of Planning and Development has thoroughly reviewed the proposed project for the sale of the city property located at 436 East 42nd Place to RCS Properties LLC to be improved as a residential building. The department has reviewed its public benefits and the project's conformance with the redevelopment area plan. The department suggests that the CDC recommend to the City Council approval for the city property disposition. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Taylor. I would now like to recognize Alderwoman Dow and invite her to make a statement on this project.
Thank you, Chairman Butler. Yes, I support this project. Although when I look at this Princeton project, I hope Commissioner Cox, if you're still on, that we can maybe have some design eyes on this particular project before I move it through City Council.
Very much received. You were reading my mind as I was looking at the slides myself. So
Yeah, okay. So yes, I do support this project. The other thing I wanted to say, Commissioner Cox, while I have you here, is that there are 11 other parcels, city-owned parcels. You see there's a lot of vacant land there. This might be potentially a good site for your come home project. We could talk about that. But,
excellent.
thank you very much, CDC.
And thank you for the suggestion, Alderwoman Dow. We'll follow up on that matter.
Thank you, Alderwoman Dow. We really appreciate your participation in today's meeting. No written statements from the public were submitted on this matter. Commissioners Taylor Thompson from the department is available to help answer your questions. If you have questions, please use the raise your hand function to be recognized. Kamal, I don't see any hands raised by members of the commission. Can you confirm that is correct?
That is correct, Chairwoman.
I would now like to invite members of the public who have used the raise your hand feature to be recognized. Each person I call upon to speak will be limited to 3 minutes per agenda item. Kamal, I don't see any hands raised from members of the public. Is that correct?
That's correct. No hands raised.
Thank you. If there are no further questions or comments regarding the matter before us, we will now call the item to a vote. The resolution before us provides authority to advertise the Department of Planning and Development's intention to enter into a negotiated sale with RZS Properties LLC for the disposition of properties located at 436 East 42nd Place in the 47th and King Drive Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project area, to request alternative proposals and to approve the sale of the property at market rate to RZS Properties LLC if no responsive alternative proposals are received. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Thomas.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Do I have a second?
Second, Vice Chair McKibben.
Thank you, Secretary Chan McKibben. In accordance with the Open Meetings Act, all votes are to be conducted by roll call so that each member's vote on each issue can be identified and recorded. Commissioners, please signify your vote on approval of the motion by saying yes, no, or abstain. Vice Chair Wheat.
Yes.
Secretary Chan McKibben.
Yes.
Commissioner Buford.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Curtis. Commissioner Davis.
Yes.
Commissioner Gomez is absent. Commissioner Griggs. Commissioner Thomas. Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Commissioner Trevino.
Yes.
And Chair Patton Butler votes yes. The motion passes. Commissioners, for the next item of business, DPD is seeking authority to advertise the Department of Planning and Development's intention for a negotiated sale with Center Court Development LLC for the disposition of properties located at 5408, 5410, 5440 South Dearborn Street and 5400, 5407, 5419 South Federal Avenue in the 47th and State Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project area to request alternative proposals and to approve the sale of the property at market rate to Center Court Development LLC if no responsive alternative proposals are received. Justin Peterson will provide a brief description of this proposed transaction on behalf of the Department of Planning and Development.
Good afternoon,
Justin,
Commissioners.
you may begin.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Justin Peterson. I'm a city planner in the Southeast Planning Region with the Department of Planning and Development. I'm here today to request the Community Development Commission to authorize a market rate sale and redevelopment agreement with Center Court Development LLC and to recommend to City Council the designation of Center Court as the developer of these 6 city-owned pins, again located on South Dearborn and South Federal. DPD actually did publish a public notice already for these on August 12th, for the Dearborn Street properties on August 12th, August 19th, and August 26th, 2022. No alternatives were received. DPD also published a public notice for the Federal Street proposals on August 29th, September 5th, and September 12th, 2022. And again, no alternative proposals were received. The project is located in the Washington Park community area and the 47th and State redevelopment area. It's in the 3rd Ward, represented by Alderwoman Pat Dowell. Center Court Development LLC is requesting the disposition of 3 of the 3 parcels on South Dearborn to construct 3 3.5-story duplex buildings. They are also requesting the disposition of 3 city-owned parcels on South Federal to construct 17 2.5-story single-family townhome buildings. The total project cost will be approximately $10.8 million. Combined redevelopment will create a total of 36 housing units, with 23 of those occurring on the city-owned land. The affordable housing requirement for this project is 10% of units affected by the requested zoning change. In this case, that's 4 units. Center Court Development has agreed to build all 4 units on site. The project is not seeking any city assistance. This is again a market rate sale for the appraised value of $302,000. That's for all 6 city pins. The project team, the applicant again is Center Court Development LLC. It's a development entity formed by Kamal Murray, founder and CEO of Excess Tennis and Education Foundation. Excess Tennis has become a neighborhood anchor for the Washington Park and provides athletic and educational programs, as well as hosting summer camps and tournaments. Mr. Murray has a vision of turning Excess Tennis into a world-class facility and campus capable of hosting major tennis tournaments and events. The proposed sale of these parcels will help further that growth and development of the Excess Tennis campus. Mr. Murray is working with Alexander Polachuk and his firm AP Architects as a lead designer of the proposal. AP has completed a number of projects in Chicago, including renovations, single-family homes, multifamily residential buildings. He's also working with Axios Architects. Axios has over 50 years of experience to design dozens of single-family homes and multifamily buildings across Chicago. Center Court's also selected Mike Clark and Crown Construction Company as their general contractor. Crown has completed several single-family homes, townhomes, and multifamily buildings on the south side, including the townhomes pictured here at the bottom right at 43rd and Calumet in Bronzeville, as well as several projects in Woodlawn. Project again is located adjacent to the Excess Tennis facility, just north of Garfield Boulevard or 55th Street between South Dearborn and South Federal. In this area, you can see the Excess Tennis campus and the immediate adjacency for the block in question. This is 1 block west of the State Street corridor, 1 block east of the Metro tracks. The 6 city-owned pins listed on this side are currently zoned RS3. The applicant is applying to rezone all parcels to RT4, which is consistent with adjacent properties and the recommendation of the zoning administrator. RT4 will allow them to construct the duplex units and the required density on slightly smaller than average city parcels. This slide illustrates the 6 city-owned pins in the context of the full block. The development of the buildings along, again, South Dearborn will be duplex units, so 2 units per building, and then single-family homes will be located on South Federal. And here we have the plans, the floor plans for the duplex building. Each building will include 2 parking spaces accessible from a rear alley and a rear garage with a roof deck on top. The elevations will be comprised primarily of brick, precast concrete, metal panels, and vision glass. The architect has worked with us actually to develop slight variation in the fenestration patterns so that there's a bit of variety on the street. And then the townhomes on Federal Street. This is the overall site plan and concept elevation for the townhomes. They were built in 3 clusters. So Center Court is actually working with, again, Axios Architects on alternative exterior designs, and the final townhome design still requires DPD approval before we proceed to City Council introduction for the land sale. We don't anticipate these changing though much, at least from a kind of planning and programming standpoint. Relatively open main floor with, again, living space and a bedroom in the basement, and then 3 bedrooms on the second floor. This is again a street view of the townhome cluster. The townhomes are comprised primarily of brick, fiberglass siding, and exterior glazing. And this slide illustrates the applicant sources and uses. The total project cost will be approximately $10.8 million. The 3 buildings, duplex buildings on South Dearborn will cost approximately $1.9 million, with the 17 townhomes on Federal at approximately $8.9 million total. Whoops. I should say the 10% of the project will be financed by the applicant's own equity, 90% by bank loans. The Department of Planning and Development has thoroughly reviewed the proposed project, its public benefits, its conformance to the redevelopment area plan, and the development team's qualifications. The project will meet the following goals for the department. Will bring $10.8 million of investment to an historically divested community. Will redevelop six vacant city-owned parcels and return them to the tax roll. It'll create approximately 15 construction jobs, bring much needed infill housing to a location well served by public transit. It will meet the city's affordable housing requirements ordinance for low and moderate income area by providing 4 units, and facilitate the growth and improvement of the Exis Tennis Campus as a neighborhood anchor. Alderman Pat Dowell has provided a letter of support for the project and is here today as well. And DPD requests your approval for a market rate sale, land sale, and to enter into a redevelopment agreement with Center Court Development LLC, and to recommend them the developer of these 6 city-owned pins between South Federal and South Dearborn Streets in order to develop duplex units and townhomes. Please refer to my staff report for further details. The development team and city staff are happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you, Justin. Kamal Murray is listed as an attendee. I want to make sure that as he is the developer, that he has the ability to speak if there are any questions that are directed towards him. So can you make sure that happens? And then before I ask Alderman Dow to make comments, Justin, can you please go back to the page of your presentation that indicates the pins and the addresses?
Yes.
Okay, so is it 5440 South Dearborn as it is in my resolution, or is it as you indicated on this page, 5040 South Dearborn Street?
Yeah, to be totally honest with you, the zoning map is a little strange here. So it's actually on the zoning map, it's listed as 540, but we can amend that.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that the resolution and the materials are consistent.
Mm-hmm.
So is it for purposes of the resolution, I have 5440 South Dearborn as one of the 3 addresses on South.
It should be, yeah, it should be 440.
It should be 5440. All right. Perfect. Thank you for that clarification. Alderman Dow has patiently stayed with us this entire meeting. I'd like to give her the opportunity to make comments if she chooses. Thank you, Alderwoman Dow.
Thank you, Chairman Haddon Butler. I love the CDC. I like sitting through your meeting. But I really don't want to take up a lot of time. I would like, if possible, for Kamal Murray to speak. I am very proud of this young man who's made a commitment here. This Access Tennis continues to be a draw internationally, and it's been a community amenity and an economic engine for lots of African Americans who are doing business with Access Tennis. I'm pleased that we're now adding a housing component, but I would like for him to present to the CDC. I'm supportive of this project.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. I am the developer, Kamal Murray. Also,
I'm sorry, Kamal, just give me one moment from an administrative perspective. If Justin, if you can close out your presentation so we can see everyone on the screen. And now, Kamal, I will turn it over to you. Thank you. It's good to see you.
Hi, everybody. For the record, my name is Kamal Murray. I am the developer for this project, as well as the developer for the neighboring project, Access Tennis. We've invested a significant amount of money into the neighborhood, $16.9 million into the tennis center. Last year, we had the first ever professional women's tournaments to ever be held by a Black person, and the first ever in the world to be held in a low-income zip code. We had over 1 billion people. Yes, 1 billion people watched that. And, our goal is to improve the commentary and the narrative around the facility and its events when we have that many people watching it. And so we've got 36 employees, 34 of them Black, and we've imported coaches from all across the globe. And we actually have 16 international students who have relocated to Chicago to train our facility. So we have a desperate need for employee housing as well as student housing. And just requesting your support for the project. We've done a good job of acquiring as much privately owned land as we could in the area, and the city-owned parcels are located closest to the facility. So our goal is to develop from closest to furthest, from 54th Street down to 55th, just so we get more momentum going, and so it can radiate throughout the parking lot of the facility. So open for any questions, and hopefully getting your support.
Thank you, Kamal, for your comments. No written statements from the public were submitted on this matter. Commissioners, if you have any questions for DPD or for the developer, please use the raise your hand function to be recognized. Commissioner Cox.
Yes, a question and just a comment. First of all, I have taken the time to view the tennis facility with Mr. Murray, and it's an impressive vision realized, which is quite wonderful. But I'm very much aware that in his travels internationally, he has found examples of complete communities that have housing, that have amenities, that really turn the tennis campus into a bit of a neighborhood in its own right. And so I think this is clearly the first step to realizing that vision. I just thank him, one, for working with our team to make sure that the designs truly can contribute to the making of a neighborhood. And it seems that they've come a long way. I look forward to them, which leads to my question. What is the timeline to break ground on your first ones? Where are you going to start? So timeline for breaking ground, and where do you intend to start? Because it is a lot, so it's not going to all happen at once. So I would be interested in that further detail. Thank you.
Yeah, so we are intending on breaking ground this May. We've had financing lined up and approved since last May. And so we intend to start at the 5400 parcel, which is not a city-owned parcel, it's privately owned parcel, 5400 South Dearborn. And those are gonna be a 6-unit building. We're also gonna construct at the very same time 54 08, 5410, and 5412. So that'll be 12 units in total that'll be under construction in just 3 months.
That's awesome. Well, it's a fantastic vision, and we will be there for the groundbreaking and the ribbon cutting.
Thank you.
Are there additional questions or comments from members of the commission? Kamal, I don't see any hands raised by members of the CDC. Is that correct?
That's correct, Chairwoman.
Thank you. I would now like to invite members of the public who have used the raise your hand feature to be recognized. Each person I call upon to speak will be limited to 3 minutes per agenda item. Kamal, can you confirm? I don't see any hands raised from members of the public.
No hands raised, Chairwoman.
Thank you. As there are no further questions or comments regarding the matter before us, we will now call the item to a vote. The resolution before us provides authority to advertise the Department of Planning and Development's intention to enter into a negotiated sale with Center Court Development, LLC, for the disposition of properties located at 5408, 5410, 5440 South Dearborn Street and 5400, 5407, 5419 South Federal Street in the 47th and State Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project area, to request alternative proposals and to approve the sale of the property to Center Court Development LLC if no responsive alternative proposals are received. Do I have a motion? So moved by Commissioner Buford. Do I have a second?
Second, Recreation Chair McKibben.
Thank you, Secretary Chan McKibben. In accordance with the Open Meetings Act, all votes are to be conducted by roll call so that each member's vote on each issue can be identified and recorded. Commissioners, please signify your vote on approval of the motion by saying yes, no, or abstain. Vice Chair Wheat.
Yes.
Secretary Chan McKibben.
Yes.
Commissioner Buford.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Curtis. Commissioner Davis.
Yes.
Commissioner Gomez is absent. Commissioner Griggs. Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Commissioner Trevino.
Yes.
And Chair Hatton Butler votes yes, the motion passes.
Sorry, did we get a yes on Curtis?
Curtis is not in the meeting.
Yeah, sorry, that's why. Kind of paused there.
My commissioners, for the next and I believe last item before us is DPD is seeking authority to advertise the Department of Planning and Development's intention to enter into a negotiated sale with Bella Noir LLC for the disposition of properties located at 601 through 609 and 615 through 662 East 47th Street in the 43rd Cottage Grove Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project area, to request alternative proposals and to approve the sale of the property at market rate to Bella Noir LLC if no responsive alternative proposals are received. Justin Peterson will provide a brief description of this proposed project on behalf of the Department of Planning and Development.
Thank you again, Chairwoman. Again, my name is Justin Peterson. I'm City Planner at the Southeast Planning Region, the Department of Planning and Development. For my second project here, I'm also again requesting the Community Development Commission to authorize a market rate sale and a redevelopment agreement with Bella Noir LLC, and to recommend to City Council the designation of Bella Noir as the developer of 5 city-owned pins located on East 47th Street in the 43rd and Cottage Grove redevelopment area. We also, again, published a public notice of this proposal and request for alternatives in the Tribune on August 8th, 15th, 22nd, 2022. No alternatives were received. The project is located in Bronzeville and the Grand Boulevard community area in the 4th Ward, represented by Alderwoman Sophia King. Belenoir LLC is proposing a $42 million mixed-use development supported in part by a $40 million USDA farm-to-table loan. The proposed mixed-use wellness hub will function in conjunction with a community and educational farm that the applicant has acquired near Rockford, Illinois. The applicant is not seeking any city financial assistance. This is again a market rate sale for the appraised value of $784,000. The applicant, Belenoir LLC, is a development entity formed by the Lyric Foundation, a nonprofit focused on youth programs and education. They've partnered with Zeblik McLaurin of McLaurin Development, who brings more than 20 years of development experience to the team, including projects like the Division in Larrabee Target at the former Cabrini Green site, Englewood Connect, the Invest Southwest project, and the Bronzeville Lakefront project at the Michael Reese Hospital site. Belenoir is also working with Jason Nuttleman and his firm Seek Design and Architecture as the designer of the project. The applicant's attorneys are Francine Lynch and Carol Stubblefield of Neal and Leroy. Belenoir has selected Powers & Sons Construction as the general contractor. Powers & Sons is one of the oldest African-American owned and managed general contractors in the country, starting in northern Indiana in the late 60s. They opened their first Chicago office in 1985 and have completed a number of commercial and residential mixed-use projects across the Midwest and in Chicago, including the Northtown Library Apartments in Rogers Park and buildings in Woodlawn, Hyde Park, and Bronzeville. Project, again, will be located on East 47th Street between South St. Lawrence and South Champlain Avenue in the heart of Bronzeville's Invest Southwest corridor, which in this case is more of a horseshoe. The project is located less than a half mile from the 47th Green Line station, 3 blocks east of MLK Boulevard and 3 blocks west of Cottage Grove. It's within a half mile of other major redevelopment sites in the area, including the Northwestern Outpatient Facility at 48th and Cottage and the proposed Millhouse development kitty corner to that. The zoning map amendment was approved by City Council on January 18th, 2023 to rezone this entire block, including the 5 city-owned pins from B1 to B33, which is consistent with other areas of 47th Street and the Department of Planning and Development's long-term vision for the corridor as a mixed-use, medium-density, transit-oriented street. This slide illustrates a view, current site view from the corner of 47th and South Champlain Avenue, looking southwest. As you can see, this site is vacant and unimproved. This is a large building with a complex program. It's 6 stories, approximately 90,000 square feet. That includes ground floor retail with tuck under parking, a second and third floor really fitness center, and then medical and foundation office space on floors 4 and 5 on one side. And then on the other side, there's a kind of second component of residential units, 27 units, larger units intended for veteran housing for University of Chicago students. The project is in, again, a low moderate income area and subject to 10% affordability requirement under the ARO. And as such, the applicant has agreed to locate all 3 affordable units on site. This is an aerial view and illustrated here. You can see that the proposed project has been designed with sensitivity to the existing neighborhood scale. Building holds the corners and then divides and steps back into 2 primary pieces. The fitness and office component to the east, to the west, hugging South Champlain or South St. Lawrence, the residential component hugging South Champlain to the east. Ground floor plan illustrates here that the building activates 47th Street with commercial retail. There's an office and fitness lobby at the corner with South St. Lawrence, and then the residential lobby is off of South Champlain with 36 tuck under parking spaces and a loading dock located off of the rear alley. And then just quickly through the plans, fitness center, and then residential, and then these split and become sort of 2 separate components as the building moves up into the office space and more residential units, with the Lyric Foundation occupying the top floor. And this slide shows the view looking from, again, South St. Lawrence and 47th Street. And as you can see, the building opens to the corner. We've worked with the development team and the architect to try to provide as much generosity to the public realm and the kind of narrow sidewalks that we currently have here on 47th Street as possible. And again, from the other corner at South Champlain, You can see residential balconies are integrated into the stepping language. The primary facade materials are corrugated metal panel, as well as some wood soffit material at the balcony spaces. And then on South Champlain, the building steps back so as to have a lighter presence on the residential street. Quickly go through the elevations. This is all four sides of the project. Again, 6 stories tall. Total height is 74 feet and in conformance with amended B33 zoning. And then project sources and uses of funds. Total project cost just over 42 million. 16% of that being covered by equity, or I should say, a total of 20% being covered by the applicant's equity, and then 80% by bank loans, and much of that being the USDA loan. The Department of Planning and Development has thoroughly reviewed the proposed project, its financial structure, the project's public benefits, its conformance with the redevelopment area plan, the development team's qualifications, and the project will meet the following goals for the department. It will bring more than $42 million of investment, again, into a historically divested community. We'll redevelop 5 vacant city-owned parcels and return them to the tax roll. It will create between 150 and 250 construction jobs and an estimated 150 permanent jobs. It'll create a pedestrian-oriented mixed-use development with ground floor retail and 27 residential units on a historically vibrant commercial corridor within access of major transit lines and bus lines. And it will meet the city's affordable requirements ordinance for a low moderate income area by providing 3 units. Alderman Sophia King has provided a letter of support for the project. Community meetings were held for this on November 15th and actually just last night, February 13th. No major objections really of note. DPD requests your approval to enter into a redevelopment agreement with Bella Noir LLC and to recommend them to City Council as the developer for these city-owned pins on 601 through 621 East 47th Street, not including the privately held parcel, to develop this 27 unit mixed use building. Please refer to the staff report for additional details. The development team and city staff are happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you, Justin. I do see that members of the development team, a number of them have joined the meeting, so we appreciate that. I'd like to recognize Alderwoman Sophia King, if she's on, or if a member of her staff are on, in order to invite them to make a statement on in support of this project. Justin, do you know if anyone from the Alderman's office has joined us?
I did not receive any confirmation that they would be here, but they have provided a letter of support.
Okay, great. I see several hands raised by panelists, so I will get to the questions from members of the commission. I have a question, though, if I may begin, just with the department and the members of the development team discussing the community input on design and the presence of that structure relative to the surrounding buildings. What's been the feedback? Has there been any kind of issues or milestones that have needed to be negotiated, given kind of what's around that site from a residential and commercial perspective, and what's being proposed on 47th Street from corner to corner, Champaign and St. Lawrence by the development team? Just any information that can be provided by members of the development team or the department regarding community input on design, density, size would be very helpful. If you could share with us the process that you've gone through in order to make yourself comfortable that the what's being proposed is accepted, embraced by the community.
I'll just start, Chairwoman. Again, my name is Justin Peterson with DPD. As far as consistency with adjacent development, I mean, the B33 designation allows basically, this scale of development, we're comfortable with it. It's the same or roughly the same scale as, for example, the larger development at 47th and Cottage Grove with the Walmart and housing above. But I will let Marita and other members of the team speak to community process.
And Justin, with respect to the project that you just mentioned, the Walmart, how far is that from this proposed development?
It's 2 blocks east.
2 blocks east, okay.
Yeah, and for everybody's awareness, that the rest of this is kind of a patch of 47th Street that's really vacant, basically between the Harold Washington Center and as you get closer to Cottage Grove. So there's not a lot of context in terms of commercial context, but certainly we want to be sensitive to the residential side streets as well.
Sure. So if members of the development team can just walk us through and provide some insight as to the community input and design process, that would be very helpful.
Marita, would you like to touch on that first, and then I can follow up with other details?
Oh, I was going to let you go ahead with the design and then follow up after you.
Okay, great. So my name is Jason Edelman, founding principal of Seek Design and Architecture. We are overjoyed to be able to work on this project with Marita and the rest of the development team. And to answer the question about the design process that we've gone through, we have walked this design through the entire committee on design. We had a great conversation with them where we had some fantastic feedback. Everybody on that committee was very pleased and it was well received. There was a couple comments about at the corners of the building, providing a little bit more softness in that transition, especially south of the building as it transitions to the more residential scale. So we started to carve away some areas of that to embrace and that transition from more of a commercial corridor to the residential corridor. So we did that. There was also a couple comments of providing additional renderings that might help show the scale in the visuals from the residential looking north of the building. So in that deck that Justin presented, you see the view looking north on Champlain with the 6-story portion, which is the tallest portion, and the context and how it settles into the surrounding neighborhood. So we have walked that through with the committee on design, and it was very well received. And then we've also had, I think it was 2 or 3 presentations with the community, one being last night, and everybody has responded very well. There have not been any comments from the community about the scale of the project within the community. It's some of the original comments were, parking and access to the parking and the garage and entry points, and some of the uses within the building. But from a scale and a design standpoint, there has not been really any commentary on that, except that almost everybody that commented on it said that they loved it and couldn't wait for the project to come forward. So Marita, if I missed anything, please add in to that.
So for the record, my name is Marita Holmes. I'm CEO of Bella Noir. And as Jason stated, we did have a community meeting last night. We had several at the end of last year as well, and all the feedback was positive. No one's really expressed any negativity or anything against us bringing this building here. As Justin stated, this parcel has been vacant for a long time, and it's a block of vacant land. So everyone is pretty much excited to bring something there and have something new in the community. So it's been positive.
So I am muted. There are I thank you for your comments. There are other members of the commission who have questions. Commissioner Davis.
So thank you. I'm glad to hear that you said that community members were positive. I'm very familiar with that corner. And when I look at it, it seems, really big for that corner, because there's nothing else around it that's really of that scale. And so while the renderings look great, I'm just imagining that it's gonna be like a, you know, something kind of big plopped down right in the middle of an area that has other smaller storefront, you know, buildings and nothing else really of that magnitude. So I guess that's more of a comment than a question. I'm just wondering from just a planning standpoint, how that works when you have a building like that that's plopped kind of right in the middle of an area that has nothing else that looks quite like it, how that's going to ultimately fare for, I guess, the rest of the businesses or the rest of the area.
So this is Justin Peterson again with Department of Planning and Development. You know, this stretch of, I should note for further context, this stretch of 47th Street is also where the Legacy District RFP site is located, just 2 blocks west towards MLK. So that would be another building of similar scale. Our vision for this corridor is more buildings of similar scale to this. We think that that zoning designation that they've been approved for is actually the right zoning designation for these corridors, as we especially try to revitalize the walkability, you know, of these streets as they lead towards the transit stop, towards the Green Line. So, you know, we think it'll be a consistent corridor in the future. It's the first one out of the box, so it may seem kind of startling at first, but to your point.
Are the rest of the buildings, surrounding buildings, going to be torn down at some point?
No.
Because there's other things there, but they're just of either vacant or of a much smaller, you know, stature.
Sure. This is Justin Peterson again, for the record. No, there are, I mean, we've looked at this actually sort of internally. You know, there are other, again, there's the Legacy District. There's a proposal by Two Fish for a 5-story building, just a block east of here. There are several 1-story, many of them vacant commercial buildings, I think that you're referring to. Some of which still have active use, you know, some of which, you know, are, you know, might be part of a site consolidation efforts. There's a lot going on here. So, you know, I think we're supportive of a lot of these developments. They're not all necessary. This is probably one of the larger in terms of total overall height. But you know, I don't think that we felt the need to, I don't know, to reduce the scale in this case, considering everything that we know that is being proposed.
Okay, thank you.
Justin, I think this line of questioning is the legacy that Vice Chair Shirley Newsom left for us as we consider these types of developments and redevelopments in areas that have seen significant disinvestment. So we're just channeling her legacy here. Commissioner or Secretary Chan McKibben, your hand is raised.
Yeah, thank you very much. I also am very familiar with that whole area. So it's good to see some new development. My question is actually not only my question is that is not only the size and the scale is different, the type of design is also very different. It looks very modern, and the rest of the block does not. So I was wondering if there were any considerations there. And then I have a couple of other questions too. I have 3 questions total. And
Madam Chairman, I'm happy to contribute to the answer of that as well. If it's appropriate at this time. No, this I think I appreciate the line of questioning, and unfortunately, it speaks to the level of erasure, the level of demolition that our commercial corridors have seen on the south and west side, to the point that we forget that there used to be 6 and 7 and 8-story buildings on these corridors. And we still see remnants of them from time to time, but by and large, that historical memory has been erased. So now when we see a 6-story building, it feels like it's completely out of place. When in fact, if you speak to folks who remember the neighborhoods in the 50s and 60s, they were plentiful, these type of buildings. So you would turn from the residential scale of the side streets and you would turn onto the corridor and you would have stores with apartment buildings above and theaters and all manner of mixed use. So I think we have to get used to it again because the entire street has been demolished. And now, thanks to projects like this and other Invest Southwest projects, we are rebuilding those neighborhood main streets. And so, of course, when you do buildings, of this time, of the era that you live in, you design with buildings from this era. And I think that I have really appreciated the developers seeking out some of the more innovative designers in Chicago to design their building. And I think it's a legacy, obviously, to her family. And it took a bit of courage to really bring something new and innovative to Bronzeville. And I think it's a testament to residents of Bronzeville that they sat in a meeting, a community meeting, and they loved what they saw, which suggests that they have a real aptitude and desire to see in a design innovation in their community. And so I applaud them because a lot of times communities, push back on anything new. Well, Bronzeville is a community that seems to think very highly of the role of design and design excellence. And so you see a project which noticeably appears to be very innovative and very different, and the community embraced that. I think that speaks volumes to where Bronzeville is right now.
Commissioner Cox, thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'm sure the historical perspective is helpful to Commissioner Chan McKibben, who raised the question, and other members of the commission.
I have two other questions.
Yes, please
Yeah.
proceed.
One is the same question. Where does local jobs, what are the plans for that? And the other question is, in the presentation, you mentioned potential University of Chicago student housing is quite far away from the University of Chicago campus in terms of, being both north and west. So are there explicit discussions with the university about that, or just assumption that if you have 27 attractive units, that some of them will be taken up by University of Chicago students?
So I can answer that question. So University of Chicago, we're focusing on the
I'm sorry, you need
side.
to, for purposes of the record, reintroduce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
My name is Marita Holmes, and I am CEO of Bella Noir. So yes, we've been in talks with the Veterans Department for University of Chicago, and it's their medical side. So it's students who are coming back for either post degrees, or they are their doctors bringing their families, but they're all connected to the veteran side. So they also have a new site that they're building that's about 4 blocks down the street on 47th from us. So it's also medical. So it's focused on their medical side, not just the regular students who are maybe in some other fields. It's all medical, and it's all focused towards veterans. So they have the means and the uses to get back and forth through the building, as well as we have parking. And to your first question, can you tell, what was that again?
Yeah, the question was, what are the plans to make sure that local residents are hired into some of the construction jobs?
So we do have Powers and Sons, who is our
I'm sorry, I'm going to need for you to introduce yourself. Thank you.
I'm so sorry. My name is Marita Holmes from Bella Noir. So we do have Powers and Sons, who is our general contractor, and then we also have sent out letters to any of the local ones as well. So we are open to. We're trying to, like Alderman King wants, we are work with her, and we expressed to her that we will try to have as many jobs possible for the community, whether that's in construction, and when the building is done, we'll also have, we're working with the community to bring in local dining as well. So we're open to anything that the community needs. As we spoke about last night in our community meeting, we asked them for suggestions. We asked them for anything that they thought that we need to bring to the site to make it better for the community. So we've been taking emails, taking calls, and just listening to what the community wants.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I want to go back a couple of questions back and just make comments on when you look at the aerial page that they showed us the picture of, the aerial look. I do find, I mean, I'm not old enough to go back to the 50s, Commissioner, of what it looked like, but I'm old enough to go back to, I know this area where those lots right around it were not vacant. So it is tall, the building, it is tall for the area, but I think it's okay. As long as there are planning for, there are 3 other sides to this corners that are vacant right now. As long as there's planning, intentional planning to make this area kind of look, have a better, more modern and not vacant look with similar types of height and build. Right now, it does overwhelm. Right across the street, it looks like there's 3 residential buildings, and it's like a giant over them. So I think that what the planning department should be telling the community and us is the plans, or what you're trying to plan for the other buildings around it, not 2 blocks east or west or north or south, but right there are 3 lots that are empty right there that could be helpful in to make it look like it's part of the community. Right now, because they're vacant, it really looks big, but there are plans, right? I hope so. And that's kind of what I'm waiting to hear.
Sure. And Madam Chair, if I may, I agree with you, and I guess Justin might have been a little remiss in not presenting some of the context buildings that have been approved. I think he mentioned 2 buildings. One is the Legacy District. It hasn't come to the CDC yet because it hasn't completed its financing, but it is a 6-story building. It is literally 2 blocks further west. And as he mentioned, another building which is being advanced by another African-American woman developer is a 5-story building. So these buildings are quickly catching up to determine that the average height of that corridor will be 6 stories. And I know Justin has done some build outs to help the Alderwoman understand the transit orientation of the corridor. But so we are, this 6 stories is something coming from a planning document that we're familiar with, but you're seeing them building by building, again, unfortunately with no context. So for a little while, this is going to appear to be really big, but 5 years from now, it's probably going to be the norm, which is a good thing. If you think about 43rd and Green, currently next to the Green Line, there's a 10-story building going up, 10 stories. The first one of this generation of higher density transit, higher density mixed-use buildings located within a walkable distance from transit. So it goes from 10 stories, then it goes down to 6, and then as it goes onto the residential streets, you go 2 and 3. But I appreciate the need for context, and I think the next time we present a building on one of the commercial corridors, we should probably give a context of the other things that will make this appear much more in scale with the coming context that we're building towards.
Thank you. Yes, Commissioner, I'll just add again, Justin Peterson with DPD. This wasn't a line of conversation that I anticipated having in this forum. Obviously, again, we've been to the Committee on Design and so forth, but Commissioner's right. We have a lot of documentation to show adjacent developments, and we feel again pretty confident in the scale here.
Terrific. Commissioner Thomas, any additional questions or comments? So I just like to thank the department, Commissioner Cox, for your anticipating my suggestion that, going forward as we look at developments and redevelopments where we know there is a plan that may be behind a specific proposal, that is part of the presentation that's given to the public through kind of the CDC meeting, so that the commissioners and members of the public can put a discrete project into the proper context, given kind of a medium and long-term view of what the vision is. I think that'd be really, really helpful for a number of different perspectives. The department, I know in the commission, that all the commissioners appreciate that the department, that these are not one-off transactions, kind of one here, one there, but there is a very consistent plan that's being executed. And I think that to be reminded of that in the context of specific proposals would be very, very helpful for a number of reasons.
Comment is duly noted. I will say as well, because I see Zeb McLaurin's on the call. I think I would be remiss in not complimenting Ms. Holmes for being one of a number of women-led development teams of a project of this scale and magnitude. We need more of you, and people are being inspired. Around the corner, there's another woman-led development project. So I hope this is a good sign of what's to come. And thank you for forging a new path for women developers in Chicago.
Thank you. And of course, again, my name is Marita Holmes of Bella Noir, but I must say I appreciate the comments and the great feedback, and I definitely appreciate, because I'm only here because I have a great team, and I thank Zeb, Jason, and Terry, and everybody else that works with us. That's the only reason why I'm sitting here, but thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Are there other questions from members of the commission? Any additional questions or comments? I would now like to invite members of the public who have used the raise your hand feature to be recognized. Each person I call upon to speak will be limited to 3 minutes per agenda item. Kamal, I don't see any hands raised by members of the public. Can you confirm that is correct?
That is correct, Chairwoman.
Thank you. As there are no further questions or comments regarding the matter before us, we will call the item to a vote. The resolution before us provides authority to advertise the Department of Planning and Development's intention to enter into a negotiated sale with Bella Noir LLC for the disposition of properties located at 601 through 609 and 615 through 662 East 47th Street in the 43rd Cottage Grove Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project area, to request alternative proposals and to approve the sale of the property to Bella Noir LLC if no responsive alternative proposals are received. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Thomas.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Do I have a second?
Second. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, I believe that was
Trevino.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I have a second from Commissioner Trevino. In accordance with the Open Meetings Act, all votes are to be conducted by roll call so that each member's vote on each issue can be identified and recorded. Commissioners, please signify your vote on approval of the motion by saying yes, no, or abstain. Vice Chair Wheat.
Yes.
Secretary Chan McKibben.
Yes.
Commissioner Buford.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Curtis. Commissioner Davis.
Yes.
Commissioner Gomez is absent. Commissioner And Chair Hatton Butler votes yes, the motion passes. Thank you, everyone. I'd like to thank members of the commission for your time and attention to today's meeting. We had a number of market rate sales that, you probably didn't anticipate spending as much time in those as we have today, but I think the discussion has been robust and great and very instructive. And so, I can't thank you, members of the commission, enough for all the work that you do in preparation for these meetings and your active participation. I'd like to thank and also congratulate Vice Chair Wheat and Secretary Chan McKibben for accepting the responsibilities and the roles that they've taken on. We appreciate your efforts as well. And do we have any objections to adjourning? Hearing
I
none.
object. I object.
We'll say that was done tongue in cheek. So, so motion to adjourn.
I gotta put that in the minutes, though.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Now we gotta have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
Second, all right. And
Second.
Thank you.
there are no objections to that motions. So thank you very much. Everybody have a great rest of the week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Bye.